allergic to cheese. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Wow, the Seattle Seahawks may have saved their season last night. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff here with you. What a wild Monday night game. Seattle playing with a backup quarterback in Drew Lock. Perloff beats Perloff's Philadelphia Eagles. It was a stunning game for someone who had no dog in the fight. It was super impressive to watch what Seattle did, but I imagine from your vantage point with Philadelphia, you can't be feeling that great.
No, it was a bad loss because they should have won. That if they came out there and lost last night, it's in Seattle. Jalen Hurts was deathly ill. I don't know. I still haven't heard the exact diagnosis.
Yeah, flu-like symptoms, and he flew on his own private plane, or the team flew him separate from the team so he wouldn't infect everybody else.
Yeah, so he was sick. So that is one issue here. But my issue with Jalen Hurts is clearly he's not running like he used to. That's been the problem all season long. Last year he was electric with his feet. This year he does run a lot, and he can
ran
beat
a lot last night.
Yeah, but he's so slow. There were so many times. There's a couple plays where there were 5 yards in front of him that he would just either sit on his butt or just slow down and let the defense catch up. You look at his rushing stats this year. Last year he was 4.6 yards per carry. This year he's 3.9. He's just going down, and it's going the wrong direction. I think his knee is still hurt. There's no doubt about that. And last night that he was sick, he was even less interested in finishing runs. So he could beat a guy when he has to, but it looks like it takes everything out of him. So he gets tired. The last night was a mess. And he's 2 games this year that he single-handedly lost by throwing bad interceptions. No reason to throw that interception against the Jets earlier in the season.
Right.
And last night on 1st and 10, he throws a deep bomb to Quez Watkins, gets picked off by Julian Love. There was absolutely no reason to throw that pass. All they had to do was drive down the field, which they were doing quite successfully. And the Eagles could have really put the Seahawks in an uncomfortable position time-wise and won the game. So Jalen... Jalen has the reason they win, but he's also the reason they lose.
I mean, that can't feel great now the Eagles have lost 3 games in a row. You have 3 left to go. So here's what's going on. The Eagles have already clinched a playoff spot. You knew that on Sunday before this game ever happened. However, you are now really in a dogfight here with the Dallas Cowboys to see who's going to win the NFC East, where this thing is basically tied. Now, if you win out, the Philadelphia Eagles, that is, then you would win the NFC East. Dallas has a slightly harder schedule. Philadelphia plays the Giants twice and the Arizona Cardinals. So you still have a shot, but let's just take the playoff seeding out of this conversation for a moment. When your team drops 3 in a row, even if you're on the road or even if your quarterback's sick or whatever, you're playing against a backup quarterback. You're playing against a Seattle team that lost 4 in a row. So granted, they're desperate. But take the playoff seeding out of it. You can't feel great about what's going on. They also did a move on defense where they switched defensive coordinators. I mean, this late into the season, maybe looked like a panic move from the outside. They were actually, outside James Bradbury getting, kind of cooked a little bit. Kenneth Walker had a pretty big game, over 100 yards rushing on the ground. Here would be my thing if I were in your shoes. I think you could probably lose to anybody right now. And that's what would make me a little nervous if I'm an Eagles fan. You've lost 3 in a row, and you're vulnerable, it looks like.
Oh, I don't agree with that. Because this was a road game where they clearly wore down in the second half against the run. They couldn't tackle Kenneth Walker.
Yeah, he was excellent.
I don't think they could lose to anybody. This is at Seattle on a Monday night with a sick quarterback. If you have a healthy quarterback in Philly, they're not going to lose to anyone in Philly. Look who they've lost to. The Niners, the best team in the league by a mile. They lost to a fired-up Cowboys team in Dallas, divisional game. So that
the Jets.
I just say the Jets was a while ago. The 3-game losing streak.
Yeah, okay.
And this game, it was in Seattle. The crowd sort of took over at the end. This, to me, doesn't mean you can lose to anybody. But that being said, they have no chance against the Niners. So even if they had won last night, say that the Seahawks hadn't had that miracle drive at the end and they won, is that a team? Here's my take on it. That is not a team that can win the NFC because there's no way they're going into San Francisco with the way they're playing football right now and winning. They're defending NFC champion, but that's it. They feel much different than last year's team. Feel much less aggressive on both sides of the ball. They're not scaring anybody. So even if they had won last night, I mean, come on. That team's going to beat San Francisco in San Francisco? No way.
Okay, so I think the headline from you coming out of this game is the Philadelphia Eagles do not look like a Super Bowl team.
No.
And I'm going to be honest, I kind of agree with you.
Yeah.
Now, they've had more turnovers this year already than all of last season. We talked about that a lot earlier in the year. It's continued. The 2 interceptions from Jalen Hurts on 2 passes that just didn't need to be made. You know, again, reminded us a little of the Jets game and how they lost that earlier in the season. Like, you had your timeouts. You could have methodically moved down the field. You have one of the best, most clutch kickers in the NFL. Doesn't matter if he's inside, outside, if it's rain, snow. And yet you go for it all on these sort of ill-advised big plays.
Methodically, I don't know. You had 13 seconds left in the game.
You had 2 timeouts.
Sorry, I know that term. 13 seconds as a Bills fan causes some problem.
Well,
you couldn't. I mean, you had probably 2 plays before a field goal attempt, so there wasn't really methodically. So
no, but you had gotten 2 big chunk plays to even get yourself over midfield.
They definitely, looking back on it, they definitely should have thrown. There was an easy screen pass that could have picked up 15 yards and brought out Jake Elliott. No, it was a huge mistake. Jalen Hurts, but that being said, Jalen Hurts' deep ball has done a lot of good things for them. So I'm not going to kill him for throwing to A.J. Brown. They think A.J. Brown's our best player. We at least want to give him a shot to win the game.
Yeah. But what's he supposed to do there?
No,
he had 2 guys on him.
No, it did not work. It did not work at all. I don't think Jalen Hurts really knew the safety was going to come over like that, maybe get a pass interference. No, last night was bad. It was really bad. But here's one thing you will not expect that nobody expected me to say or anyone to say. I like the Matt Patricia move. I thought the defense looked respectable. Think about this. They let up 42 to the Niners, let up 33 to the Cowboys. It could have been 42. And last night they let up 34 to your Bills. Last night 20. Now that could be, and maybe you can help me answer this. Was that because Drew Lock is not that great, or because the defense may be fixing things a little bit? I think they fixed things a little bit. They let up 3 by halftime. You know, the Seahawks had a bit of a lucky drive at the end. So 20-17 is not killing me.
Well, you look at the score, 20-17. I thought you had a problem with Kenneth Walker. Now, it didn't end up being an issue at the end of the game because there was some, to be honest, there was some mismanagement, I thought, on the Pete Carroll side of this. You know, left his team with 1 timeout, you know, late in the fourth quarter. You know, so they really had to abandon the run because they were trailing. They didn't have a lot of time and they didn't have timeouts. So Kenneth Walker really couldn't do his damage when they probably needed him most. And that's when all of a sudden Drew Lock to DK Metcalf. I mean, what was it? 3 receptions and 58 yards on that final drive just to Metcalf alone. And then the 29-yard touchdown to JSN, Jackson Smith and Jigba, who, I mean, just bananas catch. I mean, the tip of the football in the back corner of the end zone. We got to play for you some Drew Lock because I don't know what his football future holds, but public speaking, broadcasting, I mean, this guy's got a future. So let's hear from Drew Lock, appreciating his teammates for rallying around him.
It takes a special group to rally around a guy that, you know, is coming into his 2nd game of the year, right? Used to the same thing all year long, same cadence, same spin of the ball, everything. For a team like that, not just the offense, the defense to rally around me tonight, man, that was amazing.
So he's getting emotional there. Let's keep it going. And Lisa Salter says, you're getting emotional, and he acknowledged it.
It's been a long time. I'm just blessed. Blessed with a great group of guys, a great city, great coaching staff. It's awesome. It's a wow.
And more from Drew Lock getting emotional.
It's so hard. It's so hard to describe the feeling of, you know, not playing for so long, or at least what feels like a really long time to me. And then you sit there, you watch games, you wonder, can I do this still? I haven't been out there on the field. That's the human nature of it. You get back out there last week, and I'm like, you know what? I'm the man still. I can go do this. And then you got another test this week where I didn't know if I was going to play or not. Sure enough, ended up playing. We're playing the Eagles tonight. And the boys around me rallied tonight. And it just, gosh, it feels so good. It feels so good. I'm so proud of everybody tonight.
Amazing. I mean, in real time, it was a heck of a post-game interview. And he also talked about that JSN catch where he, you know, is like, listen, I'm going to trust him all the time. And he had the one-on-one, and he had to step on Bradbury back of the end zone. Night.
Yeah, I mean, they have a lot of skill talent for Seattle. I still don't quite know how, you know, everyone's saying that they're going to go on a run and win this. So they have at Tennessee, Pittsburgh, Arizona. I assume it'll be Geno at Tennessee. I think they look good now. They look like they're going to make the playoffs, but they still make you nervous. They had lost 4 in a row coming into this game. Pete Carroll mismanaged those timeouts. I mean, I think it saved not just the season. I mean, this could have been the end. If they had lost out, if they had lost last night, what happens? Is Pete Carroll on his way out? ...
Like fill in the blank. I mean, might be seeing major changes with the longest tenured coaches from their teams. Bill Belichick could be moving on. Mike Tomlin, who we'll talk about later, maybe they're heading for a split. And Pete Carroll, if they had lost this game, who knows? Everything's up in the air, right? So maybe this has saved Pete Carroll for another year. I don't know. We'll see what happens. The Titans in Pittsburgh would love to play spoiler on this.
I actually was super amazed. The Eagles have faced DK Metcalf twice, and he's averaged 175 yards per game.
So good.
I mean, the Eagles can't cover anybody. Maggie, you could beat any of their cornerbacks.
No, I'm not DK Metcalf.
The fact that they contained DK, they were double teaming him left and right. That was a good sign.
Except for the final drive.
Well, the final drive, they went to man everywhere. Actually, DK had nobody. It was zero. For some reason, DK was uncovered in the final drive. But they did have a good job on him last night because he's a guy who just torches the Eagles. Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with the defense on the Seahawks.
Okay,
but
maybe you're worried about Jalen Hurts, and this does not look like a Super Bowl team to you.
Does it look like a Super Bowl team to anybody? Is anybody taking this team seriously right now?
Here's the thing. I don't think so. I'm going to be fully honest here. I'm your friend. I wouldn't lie to you. I don't think they look like a Super Bowl team. However, you have 3 weeks against bad opponents to, in theory, get right. And you still have the tush push. Now, Kelsey got called.
Sort of.
Kelsey got called for a penalty on it. Turns out he's been cheating the entire season, moving the ball up a half a yard or more, which they caught him on the broadcast last night. So, dirty cheater Jason Kelsey. But no, they have the tush push. They have 3 weeks to try to get right here.
Yep.
But no, today they do not look like a Super Bowl team.
Well, it kind of stinks that the Cowboys and the Eagles have the same Super Bowl strategy. Just wait around and pray that somebody gets hurt on the Niners.
That's not going to work, man.
Because it looks like the road is going through Santa Clara. Yeah. So this is a tough spot. I'm not sure what the Eagles do to elevate themselves to a Super Bowl level, but there's nothing. The offense is way down from last year, and the defense obviously is terrible. Except for last night, they looked okay. Yeah, I'm not quite sure. The loss was painful last night. It stunk because they had the game won.
Yep.
They really should. And Jalen Hurts actually could have been the hero last night. Turned out to be the GOAT. So it was very frustrating. But the truth is, win or lose last night, this is just not last year's team. No. They lost some talented players in free agency. They also lost a little spark now that Jalen Hurts is just gimpy.
Yeah.
I mean, and last night he was sick. What is this sickness? Who gets sick in week 14?
Everybody.
Come on.
You're lucky they contained
December.
it. Yeah. This is
I mean,
year.
I don't know. Does Jalen Hurts have kids at home? What's his excuse?
It's the holiday season, man. Everyone gets sick this time of year. So everyone's in such a bad mood.
Maybe he'll get it out of his system. I mean, it was painful to watch him last night. He looked green on the sideline. I don't know what's going on with him, but even in the post game, that's not Jalen Hurts. He was a shell of himself. He looked grumpy. He looked
I'll tell
mean.
You what, everything is breaking right here for San Francisco. Everything.
I disagree
right
with
now.
that characterization, though, because nothing's breaking right. They're just the best team.
Or they're just the best, but the Eagles don't look like they did last year. The Cowboys, you got their number. We'll see if maybe they could change their fortunes, but right now you should feel pretty confident considering you shellacked them earlier this season, and you're going to be likely, 100% playing at home throughout the playoffs. I don't know. I think that San Francisco's got to be feeling as good as they have had in maybe the Super Bowl year, but even then, with Jimmy Garoppolo, I think you feel way better now.
Yeah.
You got the MVP likely in Brock Purdy.
Well, it's been rare that they've been able to keep guys like Debo and McCaffrey have not been healthy. I mean, that being said, Purdy took some big hits. He's not afraid of hits. I mean, there's 5 weeks. How many weeks till the Super Bowl? There's 6 or 7 games left. So things change in the NFL. There's a lot of football left. But right now, no, I agree. The Eagles definitely don't look like a Super Bowl team. I don't think the Cowboys do either. We saw it in Buffalo.
Yep.
So it feels like the NFC's opened up for San Francisco. But and the AFC, too. I don't think there's anyone in the AFC who's beaten them in the Super Bowl.
I don't either. It looks like this is San Francisco's world, and we're all just living in it. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Okay, want to hear from you. I know we're on in Seattle. We're definitely on in San Francisco, so I'm sure that, a little fist pump for all the San Francisco fans last night watching the Eagles look vulnerable, but Philadelphia looking like a playoff team. Seattle back in the playoff hunt. Got a lot to chew on here. 855-212-4CBS, 888-267-4227. See you guys on the phones. We'll get to that. We have so much fallout still from this week in the NFL. We get to all of it. And major college football transfer portal news yesterday. Just kapow. Brain busting. We have got all that for you next. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. So let me paint a picture for you. Last night, staying up for the end of the game, tired, miserable, depressed.
So much jury duty for you.
So much jury
whole
duty.
time.
Eagles lose. It was a dark, rainy day.
Everyone's guilty tomorrow.
Yes.
Guilty.
That being said, I was thinking
go to jail forever because my Eagles lost.
I was thinking about how I can annoy my coworkers.
You don't have to try that hard.
If I rationalize, you guys hate nothing more than me rationalizing losses, and I mean,
nothing matters.
Me
to
making
Perloff.
excuses.
Yeah.
they are still quite exhausted from this crazy run they've been through. It was a night game in Seattle. They had to travel across the country, and Jalen Hurts looked like he was going to throw up in the field of play. So that being said, I'm not panicking on this Eagles. My only problem is I just do not think they're a good enough team to compete with the San Francisco 49ers in the NFC.
Well, that's a problem.
It's not good for the defending NFC champion, and this is 3 losses in a row. This one actually doesn't mean anything in the standings. It hurt. I'm not going to lie, it hurt, but I can rationalize any loss. Even if they lose in the playoffs, I'll be like, well, Jalen Hurts had a hangnail.
Yeah, Perloff did this in the Super Bowl. He's like, well, we already got one. I'm like, oh, man.
And also,
no
too,
way.
I'm an expert about complaining about the officials against the Eagles. I was going off on Twitter last night on the officials. I admit they did get a lot of calls against your Buffalo Bills a month ago, so it probably evens out.
Thank you for acknowledging what we all saw. Let's go to the phones, 855-212-4CBS. Gary is in maybe the most delightful sounding place we've ever heard. Maple Ridge, British Columbia. That sounds amazing. Hi, Gary. How are you?
Well, good morning. First-time listener and first-time caller.
Thanks for checking in.
At least to your program. I'm not usually up at 3:30 in Pacific Standard Time, but I have a medical issue, and when I wake up, and I'm having myself a little snack and listening to you guys.
Okay,
and,
we're glad to keep you company this morning.
Comments.
What did you think about the game last night?
I saw a play that really bugged me.
Okay.
I believe it was in the first quarter. The Eagles. By the way, I'm a Cowboy and Frisco fan, so your partner there. You can go away somewhere.
Why don't you take 5, Perloff? I got this one.
But during the first quarter, the center had the ball, and he moved the ball about a foot.
Yeah.
He was not in the neutral zone. He was not offside. He just moved the ball, and they called it illegal procedure. Well, I went to bed because I just thought, oh, you got to be kidding. So I went to bed, woke up about 10 minutes ago, and I Googled it, and yes, you can move the football. And I'm wondering why the official
called that penalty
when it wasn't the penalty to start with.
Well, Gary, thank you, and we love keeping you company, as you're having a snack and up tonight. Here's what I think happened, and you can tell me your thoughts on this.
Yeah.
The tush-push may be the most scrutinized play that we have in the NFL right now.
Yeah, this season it's been the story.
Right. So Jason Kelce, coughing on the football, they are just looking for reasons, I think, to call penalties on this play to try to even out this crazy success rate that it's been having or something.
Well, yeah, but then ESPN's John Perry, I believe it's John Perry, their officiating expert, came on and said that this has been happening throughout the NFL, that officials have been warning centers not to move the ball up.
Yeah, that was generous that Gary said only a foot. I think he moved it about a yard. And
it reminded me of when I'm playing card games with my kids and cheating and just blatantly, obviously cheating. It was the fact that Jason Kelce's been cheating. If it was any other player, I would have a problem with this, but I just love it.
The rest of us are kind of over it.
It's called gamesmanship, Maggie.
Wait, hold on. You openly cheat to beat your kids?
It depends if I'm in the mood. Just because they're so gullible. But when they were little kids, you could do whatever you want. But I
Father of the Year over there.
Wait, hold on. I thought most parents let their kids win.
Yeah.
Not cheat to beat
Well, it depends which kid. The older kid I like to beat. The younger kid, will cry. She'll go into a deep, dark depression if she loses a game of Connect Four. So I almost have to use like skills to let her win. When she was 3, one loss in Connect Four was like, oh my gosh, Emma's gone for the day. But now that she's more skilled, I'll cheat against her. Why not?
How do you cheat in Connect Four? Anyway,
I meant in cards. You're right. It's hard.
What
to
do you
cheat
hide
in
an
Connect
ace up your sleeve? I mean,
you put a black square, a black circle in the corner to start.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
you sneak in 2 reds in a row or something. Or no, I'll tell you how you cheat at Connect Four. You accidentally hit the little thing on the bottom that all the chips
that
fall.
resets?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I accidentally hit the reset.
That's like rage quitting on video games when people just throw the controller because they know they're going to lose and resets the game.
The trick that I did that always worked was we would just be about to start the Connect Four. I'm like, honey, you could go first, but then I'd secretly move the thing and the thing would just drop all the way through to the ground. And she'd be like, Dad.
That's like a dad joke in physical form.
Oh, yeah.
Nicely done. I always think about that. I have a nephew who's so sweet and so cute. He's 6 and he cries when he loses, and I'm like, hey, it's going to be okay. But I think this is maybe he'll be a professional athlete or something. You always hear about people who are so competitive. It shows itself at a really young age.
Yeah, except my daughter goes the other way. She's like, I'm never playing sports because I can't handle losing. And I probably shouldn't share this, but she also won't get a pet because she can't stand the thought of the pet dying, which I understand.
No.
Like, she takes things really hard.
Oh, no. Wait, you've got a tortoise. Oh,
Tortoise.
You've got
Tortoises
the
don't
one
die.
animal that's going to outlive everyone sitting here.
Until he drops him off a skyscraper.
Yeah, I know.
I don't
That's
even
only
think
if the
that works.
apocalypse comes. Don't worry.
The tortoise is going to live 150 years. So
Yeah.
people have to will their tortoises. So Hermes,
It's a smart one to get
Hermes
for
the
this.
tortoise is going to be alive. He's going to see all of us die.
No, but that's actually a smart pet for your daughter for this particular fear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a sad reason. By the way, can we get rid of, for the record, that I had a plan to kill my tortoise? That sounds so wrong.
You
had
already
to be
dimed
there.
out your sister breaks the necks of her own chickens.
Yes.
Well, that's just called farming. I mean, where do you think the chicken sandwich comes from, Maggie?
I don't want to think about it. Andrew Bogusch is here. He's got some headlines. Do you also cheat to beat your children at cards? And
Oh,
such?
Bogusch definitely cheats.
Well, the problem now is I'm legitimately losing to them in certain things because
no.
they're almost 13 and 10, so I do need to start cheating more, I think.
This is like, are you smarter than a 5th grader?
Yeah, it's not. Or are you more athletic than your dad? And the answer is quickly becoming yes.
wow.
No.
When
Yeah.
I was able to start beating my dad in video games and basketball, I felt like I was on top of the world.
I mean, the fact your dad was actually playing video games with you.
My dad was a massive gamer, still a massive gamer.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Never mind. I thought he was
Loves
doing you a solid.
Loves 2K.
Oh, yeah, my son gives me the business in Madden.
Yeah, I feel like
Yeah.
losing to your kids in video games is now the new rite of passage. Forget about playing
One-on-one, yeah.
basketball in the driveway. No, it's when you get beat 49-0 on Madden by your kid, you realize.
Is that a sad commentary on our society?
Job.
It's
Yeah.
no longer the driveway, the hoop in the driveway. Now it's playing Madden or.
No, I mean, I'm still getting worked in over-the-door basketball in his bedroom, too, so we do both.
Getting dunked on.
Yeah.
A Frederick Weiss of the house.
My kids live. My one daughter's obsessed with Fortnite. She said she loves watching me play because I die in about 30 seconds, and she just laughs at how bad I am. They love to watch me struggle in video games. So just like EJ, I'm sure you were exactly like that.
See, my brother just gets annoyed if we playing Call of Duty. I'm getting killed in 2 seconds. He's just like, just put the controller down. Go.
He's like, I actually got someone in South Korea who's all set up to take your place right now. I'm playing video games with people halfway around the
He's
country.
like, they're cyberbullying you
Or
right now
world.
on the chat, so just go ahead and just quit now.
They're cyberbullying you. Where are we? Headlines. Let's do it.
Yep, they're sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Insurance for motorcycles, boats, and RVs for protection on the road and on the water. See how much you can save at 1-800-PROGRESSIVE and Progressive.com. Thank goodness the Eagles have already clinched their playoff spot because the free fall continued last night in Seattle.
3 receivers left, 1 right. Lock, backpedals, pumps, looks, going deep, and it is caught! Touchdown! Smith-Njigba!
Merrill Reese on Eagles radio. Jackson Smith and Jigba, the go-ahead TD catch. 28 seconds left on Monday Night Football while Drew Lock was engineering that 10-play, 92-yard game-winning drive. Jalen Hurts was throwing 2 fourth-quarter picks.
Trying to be aggressive in that moment. We had multiple opportunities in the game to open it up, and we didn't do that. I didn't do that. I didn't do my job.
The 2017
Yeah.
final.
Get that man a nap. I mean, what is going on there?
He
Chicken
sounds like
soup.
when I used to try to convince my parents I was sick and couldn't go to school,
yeah.
even though I probably could have went. He sounds like he's acting, but he's not.
It's like in the movie Zoolander where he's like, I think I got the black lung pop.
Dad, I can't go to school. I need another day. Just not feeling right.
EJ and I were talking before the show. Jalen Hurts is the most humorless quarterback in the NFL by far. They could be up by 30, and he looks like he's like miserable on the sideline. He looked extra miserable last night. Like, is he fun? Does anybody find Jalen Hurts like a fun guy?
Do you think it's cool that he can squat 600 pounds? If that's your idea of a good time, I'm sure he's
Yeah, it's pretty much all he's got.
rock star.
Should have been an indication that he's probably not that fun, that he's worked himself to be able to squat 600 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, have you ever had a great conversation with someone who can squat 600 pounds?
They were also, was it me or was he running more than usual last night? That's the last thing I'd wanted to do when I was sick.
Yeah, but I was complaining in the first segment. He's so slow when he runs. Until he needs to, then he beats the guy. But he'll just give up on a run with 8 yards in front of him because he just gets tired.
Well, this also could have been a little Seahawks D. Was like, let's run him, tire him out a little bit. The guy's got the flu. Let's give him, because he was taking the bait. He was taking the cheese.
I'm not sure. Do you think they wanted him to run it into the end zone multiple
Well, not
times?
the end zone, but
I don't.
could have
agree
been
with
strategy.
that. No, get out of here.
Well, it seemed, maybe I was just begging for A.J. Brown fantasy points, but they wouldn't throw the ball. I'm like, he's sick. Why are you letting him run into defender? There are designed runs early in the game.
Because it worked. I mean, it did work. It's the only way they move the ball. Much like Josh Allen and the Bills, like their most reliable play is a quarterback run.
It was a 2017 final last night. Philly's third loss in a row. It keeps them out of first place in the NFC East, losing a tiebreaker with Dallas, so they sit in the 5 seed right now in the NFC. The Seahawks, meanwhile, join the Vikings, Rams, and Saints, all at 7-7. Minnesota and LA have the last 2 wild card spots at the moment. Texans QB C.J. Stroud still in concussion protocols. Mason Rudolph is prepping to start for the Steelers against the Bengals this weekend. And the Jets say Zach Wilson will play Sunday against Washington if he's healthy. If not, it'll be Trevor Siemian. Meanwhile, tomorrow's the deadline to put Aaron Rodgers back on the active roster. Like it or not, we are all living in the Clippers world.
Here comes Harden into the front court. Dancing, double team coming. He dribbles away. Near wing, another 3. Yes! And the foul! James Harden is on fire! Are you serious?
Sounds so good. The Clippers radio at the call. Harden scoring 21 of his season-high 35 points to close out a 151-127 win in Indiana, of course.
Another clutch 3, by the way. That was such an important 3. They're up 27, and he's firing away trying to pad his stats. What a loser.
Listen, you can't call him a loser because he made the shot. But the thing is, I think those play-by-play guy is awesome. He's got a great voice, all that. It's just hilarious to still get this worked up over a James Harden 3.
In December.
When we've all seen what we've seen with James Harden.
They just got him. They just got him. Let them fall out. Let them flame out in May.
But you
and they won't be excited.
they're up by 29 points at that point. And that it's just classic James Harden to score. It's an A-Rod home run. It's just a meaningless garbage 3.
I do think it's
loser
funny.
energy.
I think it's funny that Perloff's like, oh, what a loser, even though they won 8 straight games.
8 in a row.
I'm telling you, yes.
And the
more he
Bulls beat
wins,
the Sixers last night.
the more James Harden wins, the bigger a loser he is. He's just setting up his fan base for heartbreak.
How does that work like that?
You'll see.
Suns guard Bradley Beal is out at least 2 weeks with a sprained right ankle. He got hurt Friday night in just his 6th game of the season thanks to those back troubles. Purdue returns to number 1 in the AP men's college basketball poll after beating number 1 Arizona over the weekend. Those Wildcats now at number 4 with Kansas and Houston in between. And on ice, Sidney Crosby, the tie-breaking goal early third period as Penguins 4, the Wild 3. Pittsburgh has won 3 of 4. Guys, back to you.
Bogusch, thank you. Ben Franklin's in our chat, which is amazing. YouTube.com/CBS Sports Radio, Twitch.tv/CBS Sports Radio. If you want to watch the show, it says the Eagles are falling faster than Hermes from the 10th floor.
Oh my God.
No.
Oh, no.
Wow.
That was graphic.
That's actually...
Jesus.
By
I
the
think
way,
you're actually, don't you live on the 8th floor?
we live on the 8th floor, but there is a roof on the 10th floor. Hermes, I think, could survive that. That shell is no joke.
Yeah,
Like, there's a
I
reason
hope so.
tortoises have been around for millions of years.
Right. Your bigger concern is his very delicate diet. If you were to put
Yeah.
him back out in the wild.
Yeah, all of his dandelion weeds.
Right.
He'd be dead. He's a desert animal. He'd be dead in about a week.
If we dropped Jalen Hurts into a forest, could he survive? What would he eat? What would
Okay.
he squat?
This is
A redwood tree.
the most random thing. So he loves dandelion leaves, but
Hermes, not
Hermes.
Jalen Hurts.
Well, we don't know, but definitely Hermes.
He may be
You
drinking like
seen Jalen Hurts' body? He probably only eats dandelion leaves and.
He sleeps on a bed of dandelion leaves.
It's like the tea that you would be drinking, dandelion root.
Yeah.
Something like that.
So I'm walking around in Brooklyn, and there's dandelions everywhere. I'm like, oh, should I just pick one of these up and give them to the tortoise?
I don't know, 55 dogs have probably urinated on it.
Well, that's not
the pesticides there.
The pesticides, like that would kill my tortoise. That's the only thing
yeah.
that would kill anything that is picked from the ground in Brooklyn. I can't. It's pesticides, right? I can't give
feel
that
like
to.
pesticides are the least of your problems. How many put out Marlboros are on that thing?
Yeah.
People drunk from the night before vomiting.
Yeah.
In that
a lot of
spot.
bodily
Yeah.
fluid.
Yeah, it doesn't quite strike me as an organic dandelion, although he probably would eat it. I don't know what. I
It's
shouldn't.
New York organic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know how when you actually go out
That's
and
anywhere else toxic.
you pick flowers for your girlfriend, how much more romantic it is.
Yeah.
So
Not
I think
in
that
Brooklyn.
hand-picked dandelions for the tortoise out of Brooklyn. No, all right, that's gross. Okay.
I can't imagine a man coming up to me with a hand-picked bouquet of flowers from Brooklyn.
Oh, come on.
I
that
mean,
would-
wait, do you
that-
hate me?
That would not have worked when you were younger?
No. Although my husband did once take me, when we were living in Brooklyn a long time ago, he took me on a romantic date, which was a canoe trip right through the Gowanus Canal.
Oh,
Which, if
yeah.
you've never heard of the Gowanus Canal, is a Superfund site that is definitely toxic. And as we were dipping the oars in the water, it's like rainbow, like the slick on top of the water, like oil.
Ugh.
Like, wow,
Gowanus
thanks
Canal
for
is literally one of the most polluted waterways in America.
Yes, and that's where he took me on a date to go canoeing.
Let's be fair.
How romantic.
In the world.
Yeah, I was trying to be conservative on that, but yeah.
Maybe the solar system, what he could have said.
Galaxy.
What is it, the Marvel verse?
The
Whatever.
multiverse. The multiverse of Maggie and Perloff.
Love you, honey. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Coming up, who should be the front runner for Coach of the Year in the NFL? We'll give you a hint. Not Nick Sirianni. 855-212-4227.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff, Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio. Kind of joked going into the break that, the NFL Coach of the Year is a really interesting race this year. And I joked that Nick Sirianni is not going to win it. I mean, I don't mean to pour salt on the wound here. It's not that Sirianni is doing a bad job, but I don't think he or Pete Carroll would be my pick for Coach of the Year. In fact, I think if Pete Carroll had lost his 5th game last night, he probably would have been on the hot seat or maybe ushering in a new era of Seahawks football. But instead, they pull out the victory last night on Monday Night Football, and it looks like the Seahawks are going to be back in the hunt here. As for the likely Coach of the Year, who stands out to you? Because, again, this is like pretty wide open, I find.
So I hate Coach of the Year.
Why?
Because it's a loser award. Like pretty much every time they give it to somebody, that means they had a great, unexpected regular season. They get demolished in the playoffs. That's just the way the award works. It's the same in the NBA. It's generally
the NBA gets you fired.
They do not like to give it to the best coach because otherwise Belichick would have 15 of them. I think he has 2 or 3. But to me, the most dominant coaching staff right now is San Francisco, and I would give it to Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah.
I mean, he's playing checkers compared to everyone else's chess. He is the best coach, and therefore that's why I'm giving to him. There's a lot of better narratives, guys who we did not expect to win. But is there anyone out coaching the San Francisco? I don't think so.
He's a great candidate because usually the Coach of the Year has to win a lot of games. Like if you go back through, they don't give it to guys who are like around 500.
Well, Dayball won it last year, but
oh right, but that was also like. That was a really out of the blue one. And also, that was probably a bad choice, to be honest.
But they're all bad choices. Pretty much almost, if you look at the record, they almost always lose in the second round.
So here's the thing about Shanahan. It's a great pick, right? But he also probably has the deepest team. Now, he's doing it with Purdy.
Yeah,
which he deserves the credit for drafting Purdy. I think that they said that was him who wanted Purdy with Mr. Irrelevant. I mean, as much as you can get credit for that. And, developing Purdy and creating, this awesome system that makes it so easy for these guys, or look easy, for these guys to shine.
Well, listen, you're not going to like this, but are those players really that good, or are they that good because they're in Kyle Shanahan's system? I mean, McCaffrey had success.
McCaffrey was that good.
He was that good, but still, McCaffrey's running through pretty wide holes here. I mean, he's not exactly.
McCaffrey's always
he's
been
not Adrian
good.
Peterson where he's breaking 4 tackles.
But he was always on a bad team in Carolina.
I mean, I think Shanahan's system maximizes George Kittle. I think it maximizes Debo. I think it maximizes Ayuk. I don't think it's the talent. I think it's the system. I'm sorry, because he's done it with multiple players. Obviously, Brock Purdy was a 7th-round pick.
Sure.
You think Brock Purdy is in Arizona? He's doing this? No way.
No, I don't. Which was part of my reason why he's not the MVP. But
and the
part of my case.
Other thing too is they've survived. They keep losing their defensive coordinators, and they've kind of got their footing back under Steve Wilkes. So I give Shanahan credit for that, to keep on. He doesn't do much with the defense, I imagine.
Right.
But that's a really well-coached unit as well. So I think it's the management overall for Shanahan wins it.
Yeah, losing Robert Saleh, your defense is still good. Losing DeMeco Ryans, your defense is still good. They faltered a little bit with Steve Wilkes, but hey, you put him up in the booth, and all of a sudden, the guy's amazing.
Yeah,
you go from the sideline to the booth. Or was it the booth from down? The other one. You go from the booth to the sideline. All of a sudden, now, you're Bill Parcells.
Yeah, it's hard to keep track of who's healthy on that defense. Like, Nick Bosa comes in and out a little bit, but, I mean, obviously, everyone's talking about Brock Purdy. They still have Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, and Dre Greenlaw. They're awesome, too. So, but I do think that Shanahan is overlooked because you look at the talent, and I think he really is doing a great job this year.
For me, my pick would be DeMeco Ryans. Now, I don't think he's going to win the award because, again, they have not won enough games, but they sit at 8-6. They just won last week with not even the backup, but to go to Case Keenum over Davis Mills, I think that's a coaching decision. I think that's the right one, clearly, because maybe I'm playing the result there. But going with the veteran in Case was a smart move, clearly. And C.J. Stroud was always going to be the most pro-ready. That's what they said. But look at what he's done. I mean, who expected this kind of season? And don't forget, we talk about these receivers, this was not, Tank Dell. These guys weren't necessarily household names. They were thought of as good draft picks at the time, but they weren't household names.
Nico Collins, Noah Brown. It's unbelievable what he's gotten out of them.
Incredible. And think about this also. The Houston Texans were a little bit, I don't want to say the laughingstock of the draft, but a little bit.
Big time.
Because the trade up for Will Anderson and how they gave Arizona, their own pick and not the Browns pick. It was oh, how could you do that? You made this huge mistake, and you're going to be so bad, that's going to be a premium pick for the Arizona Cardinals. Well, it turns out that's not the case. You got the Texans right now who are, if the playoffs started today, they'd be on the outside looking in, but right behind the Indianapolis Colts for the 8th spot overall in the AFC. I mean, I think they are going to make the playoffs. They're a really good team.
I think they have a tough game against Cleveland coming up. So, because I'm thinking my buddy Case Keenum on the Manning cast last night, if he plays, I mean, gosh, I almost want him not to play against Myles Garrett.
Case wants to play.
He definitely wants to play, but I honestly, and C.J. Stroud too, coming off a concussion. Cleveland's defense can make any quarterback look bad. So I think this is a very tough assignment. I'm not as confident as you are they make the playoffs, but he has been a great story. I agree with that.
Cleveland's defense is like what the San Francisco defense used to do. You would have a hangover the next week because you were getting hit so hard.
Great point.
Cleveland is like that. Mark is in San Francisco, agrees with Perloff. Good morning, Mark. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
We're doing awesome. What's up?
I'm just loving what you guys are talking about this morning, talking about our 49ers. And Shanahan's definitely got to be number one runner for Coach of the Year.
Listen, he's got a great case, man. He does.
Wow. I mean, who does better play calling than he does? And now that he's got the perfect Purdy quarterback for his system, how can it go wrong?
Yeah. Mark, off to the races. Thank you. I said before, feels like we're all it's the 49ers world. We're all living in it. Now, I will mention something. We'll get EJ and Ryan's picks too for Coach of the Year in a moment. But if they lose McCaffrey, I don't think they're going to the Super Bowl.
I disagree with that. I mean, throw in Elijah Mitchell and have, when it's third down and you need a run, just go to Debo. What's the big deal here? What's the problem?
I think that he's a bigger cog in this. They're not all the same. There's a lot of great weapons, and that's a credit to the 49ers, to the coaching staff, to the front office, everything. But to me, they're not all created equal. I think that McCaffrey does so much and is so important to what they're doing. Clearly, if you lose Purdy, you're going to have a major issues there. We saw that last year in the NFC Championship game. But I think if you lose McCaffrey, and I'm knocking on wood here because I love watching him play, I think that would have the biggest impact of any skill position player.
More than Purdy? Or you say Purdy's different?
Well, Purdy is kind of obvious, and I'm not a big Sam Darnold believer. So that's where you and I differ. I don't think Sam Darnold can step in and lead this team to the Super Bowl.
Okay, I'll challenge you immediately, though. You can have one player that stays healthy. Trent Williams, the left tackle, or Christian McCaffrey?
Oh, I do love a left tackle.
You love Trent Williams is arguably the best left tackle in football, the most talented.
Yeah.
Listen, this is a system that gave Raheem Mostert 220 yards in an NFC title game. They can create running lanes. So I would disagree. I think they could survive without McCaffrey.
I don't think so.
Especially if it's in San Francisco. Oh, boy.
EJ, what do you think? Can they survive if they lose McCaffrey?
Absolutely not. And I think that when we talk about, one, McCaffrey is a different breed because McCaffrey, the way he's able to catch the ball out of the backfield, run routes, be a running back, I think there's a reason why they traded those assets to get Christian McCaffrey. They realized how valuable he was. When we talk about Coach of the Year, the guy I would pick, quite frankly, he beat Kyle Shanahan. He beat Kyle Shanahan with a guy that's currently on the street in P.J. Walker. Kevin Stefanski, to me, should be Coach of the Year.
Guy's doing a hell of a job. I mean, the weird thing about Stefanski is, it felt as a little / a lot unsavory about how the defense of Deshaun Watson, and I don't know if anyone's running to give the Browns any awards for that, but take that out of it. Just coaching on the field, what he's done now he's on Joe Flacco.
Got Flacco. This is his fourth quarterback they're trying now? So fourth quarterback they're trying right now. They lost Nick Chubb to that gruesome knee injury. Beginning
of the season.
We were ready to write off the Cleveland Browns pretty much for this season. I mean, when he had Deshaun Watson wasn't playing well. So he's pretty much had bad quarterback play throughout the entire season. But to me, sometimes we get into the X's and O's and who's calling the best plays. What about rallying a group? What about being a leader of men? Again, I don't love the stuff with Deshaun Watson, the defense of that. But it's clear the Cleveland Browns play for Kevin Stefanski, and they play for Jim Schwartz, too, who's doing a phenomenal job as defensive coordinator. And that also falls on Stefanski. He's the guy that's giving them the keys to the defense. I don't know how you don't watch the Browns play this inspired ball and say that he can't be Coach of the Year.
Ryan, who's your pick?
Wait, by the way, I'll tell you exactly why he can't be Coach of the Year.
Why?
Because he won it 3 years ago. And Kevin Stefanski, 2-time Coach of the Year, you can't give it to him until he wins something in the playoffs. That would be ridiculous.
It's a regular season award.
I know it's a regular season award, but don't you think the NFL would look silly? Like, the best coach has gone 1-3 in the playoffs, unless Cleveland wins a game in the playoffs. I mean, that would be an odd look.
Well, here's the thing about Stefanski.
Is 0-3 without Trent Williams and Deebo Samuel this year. So we're going to give him Coach of the Year because of his great schemes that he couldn't do without two players.
Yeah, but the guy, at least, I know he blew the Super Bowl, but he has probably 9 postseason wins. It's like giving the MVP to a guy who's going out in the wild card round. You can't do that.
Well, it's funny because
you got to have success. Like, 2-time Kevin Stefanski, 2-time Coach of the Year, could be on the hot seat in 2 years. Doesn't make any sense.
Ironically, didn't he win Coach of the Year when the Browns broke their playoff drought? But he had COVID and he was in the basement for that game.
I mean, listen,
against the Pittsburgh Steelers, he wasn't on the sideline. It was the 2020 year. Everything was totally wonky.
Yeah, I just don't think they give it to him twice. I mean, you know, EJ, the way they pick these awards, you don't think the voters are going to be like, well, we voted for Stefanski before.
I mean, it wasn't like it was last year. It was several years ago. Yeah. I mean, the COVID year, that's like a different world.
You're telling me that Kevin Stefanski and Bill Belichick have the same number of Coach of the Year awards? That does not ring true. I
can't be responsible for what voters did to Bill Belichick 15 years ago. I'm only talking about this season.
I mean, look at this group. The Brian Dable last year, Mike Vrabel the year before, Stefanski, Harbaugh, Matt Nagy the year before that. Come on.
Wait, hold on. Belichick 3-time Coach of the Year. So they gave an extra one there. And Ryan, your pick was going to be who?
Shane Steichen.
There you go. Nice and short and sweet.
He's a good one. I like Steichen better than Stefanski. Sorry, EJ.
You are welcome to weigh in on if Christian McCaffrey were to go down, knock on wood that he doesn't, can the 49ers still win the Super Bowl? I say no. Perloff says yes. Coming up, what Tom Brady say lately, we'll tell you.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He's the reigning Fortnite champion. She's a Call of Duty legend. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Seahawks saved their season last night. They beat the Philadelphia Eagles on Monday Night Football. Thrilling come-from-behind win for Seattle with a backup quarterback, and now they're back in the hunt in the NFC to get to the playoffs. And listen, I'm not sure how dangerous the Seahawks are, but when you have the three-headed monster of DK Metcalf, when you have Kenneth Walker going in the way that he was, and you have an emergence of Jackson Smith and Jigba as this sort of speedster on the outside, that is a tough offense. Not to mention Tyler Lockett, who's just been steady his whole career.
Yeah, but this is a team that lost 4 in a row. I understand what you're saying. On paper, that all sounds great. In reality, we have not seen that on the field. I don't think the Seahawks have been a well-rounded team. Last night, those guys look good, but then again, they only scored 20 points against one of the worst defenses in the league. Statistically, Eagles are bottom 10 in every category. I understand. I think that's partly a function of Drew Lock starting over Geno Smith, but I'm not sure that the whole equals all those pieces. I love DK Metcalf. I love Lockett. I love JSN. Those guys are great. But for some reason, it hasn't come together for Seattle consistently, and it didn't really last night.
You know, there were points I thought Seattle really left on the board. Early in the first, I believe it was the first quarter, it might have been their first drive, when they had a 4th and 1, and they decided to punt on a 4th and 1. It's like, and it was around the 40. I'm like, their own 40, sure. But like, really, you don't think you can get a yard against, again, this Eagles defense, which has not been great.
It looked a little better last night.
And they decided to punt there, which I was surprised. And then late in the game, when it was a promising drive for Seattle, they're marching down the field, and Pete Carroll calls a timeout after a big play to try to get his teams to avoid a delay of game. And they end up looking again at the catch at the last play, and it turns out it was a no catch, and they end up having to kick a field goal there as opposed to what may have been finishing out with a touchdown drive.
Yeah, no, that was a bad job by Pete Carroll. And
then he tried to get the timeout back, which was hilarious.
I got to tell you, there was a 4th and 2 before where the Seahawks did not look good. I honestly think that might have saved them 3 points because they did not have that much faith in Drew Lock to convert those short yardage things. I think if Geno Smith was quarterback, they definitely would have gone for it. I think that was a function of getting used to Drew Lock. Hey, by the way, great story, Drew Lock last night. All the credit to him for that last drive. He's got a great arm. He's another guy, too. You look at him on paper, like, oh, he should be a pretty good NFL quarterback, and it's never come together.
I got to say, I also was watching this saying, man, this Russell Wilson trade is like, it's really the gift that keeps on giving here for Seattle. This was like a lot of the guys from the trade who were on display last night. Now, unfortunately, you didn't have Witherspoon, who was out, but you have Drew Lock, you have Noah Fant, you obviously have Charles Cross. I mean, Mafe, who's the outside linebacker. Like, these are all guys who came over in that trade. So, meanwhile, let's hear a little of this emotional Drew Lock. Ryan, cut 20, please, about the turmoil that he's been through, going from starter, getting benched, having to compete with Geno for the job.
It's so hard. It's so hard to describe the feeling of, not playing for so long, or at least what feels like a really long time to me. And then you sit there, you watch games, you wonder, can I do this still? I haven't been out there on the field. That's the human nature of it. You get back out there last week, and I'm like, you know what? I'm the man still. I can go do this. And then you got another test this week where I didn't know if I was going to play or not. Sure enough, ended up playing. We're playing the Eagles tonight. And the boys around me rallied tonight. And it just, gosh, it feels so good. It feels so good. I'm so proud of everybody tonight.
And it was an emotional post-game interview, and you feel for the guy, and he gets a big moment. Now, they did say after the game that Geno is going to start the next game against Tennessee. So Geno's groin injury, good enough to play next week. And so here comes Seattle, maybe for a surprise playoff appearance.
Yeah, I mean, if they win out, they're almost definitely going to get in. A lot of football left. I'm not convinced they're going to win out. I think a lot of people saw that win last night and thinks that they've righted everything, but we'll see. 3 games left. As an Eagles fan, we don't want to see the Rams. I'll take that Seahawks team again. The Eagles should have won that game last night. I mean, I'm so sorry, that sounds like sour grapes, but the Eagles had that game. They gave it away more than the Seahawks took it. Although the last drive was amazing, but if Jalen Hurts just doesn't throw the second to last interception, then the Eagles could have ground out the clock. They found a creative way to lose that game.
They did, but and Jalen Hurts doesn't look like the MVP candidate that we had come to know from Jalen Hurts. And maybe that was partially because he had the flu or flu-like symptoms, and partially maybe because he's got a knee injury. But it's been different for him this year for sure. And because he's looked different, the team looks different. And there is not the type of confidence with the Eagles losing now 3 in a row. There's not the type of confidence around this team that there was last year.
Yeah, I mean, in his defense, he did make some sick plays last night. Like he'll roll to the right and he'll hit Devontae Smith. He had some great plays. He just made a couple uncharacteristic boneheaded mistakes. I don't know why he has so much faith in A.J. Brown, as he should. At the end, he threw a pick to him that was just a terrible mistake. He could have gotten in position for a field goal to tie the game and go to overtime. Instead, he went for the big chunk play. I don't know what he was doing. My concern is he does not look the same running the football. He was never Lamar Jackson fast, but he was incredibly effective last year. He was effective last night, had 87 yards, kind of was the main offensive weapon, but it just seems like he's uncomfortable out there in the open. There's a lot of times there's 5 more yards to go, and he just sits on his butt. He's like, I do not want to take a big hit right now.
Well, maybe he's trying to save himself a little bit because he knows how valuable he is to the team. So here was Hurts, and listen, maybe he's hopped up on cold medicine. I have no idea. But he said that the team he doesn't think is committed enough.
I've been talking about execution all year. Been on the same page. Everyone been on the same page, and we didn't execute. I don't think we're committed enough. Just got to turn it around.
So when you say the team's not committed enough, that's going to raise a couple eyebrows. He tried to elaborate on what he meant.
What do you mean by that, about being committed enough?
Commitment. I don't know that. If I had a dictionary on me now, excuse me. I don't know how else to say that.
I guess, how are you seeing that present itself?
Just, it's a matter of being on the same page.
Yeah, see, the thing about commitment, Perloff, is that indicates that it's not something X's and O's, right? Or it's like an effort thing. That's at least what I think when I hear that.
Yeah, definitely. And usually when it's a quarterback, it's a wide receiver running the wrong route or something. Actually, and I'm going to give credit to EJ for this. I just think the way Jalen Hurts thinks is if your team loses, it's a commitment thing. He's just such an old school, like if you work as hard as you possibly can, you're going to win. It's not necessarily calling out a guy because he's not a call out a guy. I think he's just talking very generally. Is that right, EJ, the way you characterize it?
Yeah, I mean, he kind of sounds like a caricature of what we think of like the high school athlete who tries too hard. Like he's like, if you eat all your vegetables and you do these workouts and you do everything you're supposed to do, you're going to win. And I think that's what makes Jalen Hurts great is that he does have this kind of like innocence in terms of how he views sports. So he throws out there's a lack of commitment. When we hear that from star athletes, we usually run to, he's throwing a shot at somebody. He's going to A.J. Brown. He's going to Sirianni. Who's he talking about? I think with Hurts, I think he just thinks, like Perloff said, we're not winning, so therefore we must not be playing hard enough. We must not be committed enough.
Well, but here's the thing. Playing hard has nothing to do, well, I guess it does, but commitment is like, let's look up the dictionary definition. Dedicated to the cause. That means like everyone pulling in the same direction. That doesn't necessarily mean not playing hard.
No,
I think it's about like, when I think commitment, I'm like, guys are out there freelancing, guys are trying to get their own, guys aren't committed to the team and the cause. I mean, should we not take him at face value?
Well, I think he's talking about generally. No, I think EJ's right. I think he's so by the book. So when a team loses, he's so old school NFL. To him, that's a commitment issue, not anything specific. I don't think. I mean, who would he be calling out? A.J. Brown didn't do anything wrong last night.
I didn't think so, and it feels like I know they had some things last year, right, where they were kind of sniping at each other a little bit on the sideline.
Earlier this season, too.
And earlier this season, but that feels like weeks and weeks ago. Maybe stuff is bubbling under the surface. Who knows? It was probably a very long and depressing trip back from Seattle for the Philadelphia Eagles last night.
Yeah, no, that's not fun. I mean,
did Jalen Hurts probably take the private plane back, too, right? If you take a private plane out to be quarantined, if you will, away from your teammates, who's the unlucky staff person who's got to ride with Jalen Hurts?
Probably in a hazmat suit on the plane.
By the way, Eagles have 2 games against the Giants coming up, and the Giants stink right now. I got to tell you, that is called a dangerous divisional game because they always lose this game. Jalen Hurts 2 years ago lost to a terrible Giants team.
Well, Tommy Cutlett's, his soul may have left his body on one of those 7 sacks that he took against the Saints on Sunday, so I don't know.
I'd much rather see Tommy Cutlets than Tyrod Taylor. None of this is – I'm nervous about next week. This was a bad loss. If they lose one of their last 3, Giants, Arizona, Giants, then it's over.
Well, if you win out, you win the NFC East. Obviously, for Seattle, you got the Titans, you've got the Steelers, you've got the Arizona Cardinals. Clearly you're looking for a wild card there. We asked a question, and I want to get back to it, which is, if Christian McCaffrey, if something happened and he got hurt, would the 49ers still be able to make a Super Bowl run? Leland is in Sacramento. He's got a thought on it. Good morning, Leland. How are you?
Hey, good morning, Maggie. Good morning, Perloff.
How you doing?
Yo.
Hey, let me, there we go. Yeah, I'm doing great. Thank you. So I'd like to point out, I think you raised a really good argument about Christian McCaffrey. He definitely is the best running back in the NFL. But the 49ers have a stacked house.
Yeah.
The backups, Elijah Mitchell and Jordan Mason, every time they get a chance to get in the game, they've done something positive. So I think they would find a way to win, but clearly no one can replace Christian McCaffrey. What are your thoughts?
Well, Leo, that's why I think that, and appreciate the phone call, I think that while we talk about San Francisco, the depth that they have, the amount of weapons, I still don't think everyone's created equal here in terms of how big of a pie they eat up, like in their importance. You could make an argument, probably Trent Williams, the left tackle, might not only be the largest human, but also be the most important one.
Wow,
but
you could also make
skills.
You could make a Debo argument too. When he was out, just the entire offense looked different. He's a tough yards guy too. So listen, my argument is simple. There's just so many weapons there.
Right.
And Kyle Shanahan's had so much success with so many random running backs. Now, I understand. He gave up a second-round pick to get McCaffrey in there. He's obviously incredibly important. But I just think they're 32 points better than the Cowboys. They're 30 points better than the Eagles. Does Christian McCaffrey make up that 30 points? No way. Well, what did he do in those 2 games? They didn't even need him in either of those games against their 2 biggest NFC opponents. They could have put EJ at running back and won those games by 25.
See, I think that's the disrespect. No, EJ, I'm sure you're.
I run like a 5'7".
Fleet of foot.
No chance. Sorry.
But that's kind of the disrespect, I think, to McCaffrey because he's leading the team in touchdowns. I mean, he's.
Yeah, so first of all, touchdowns is the most overrated stat because they feed him the ball.
Yards per catch.
Yeah, but
everything.
Did he make any? I actually don't even remember. Yeah, I'm sure he had good games against Dallas and Philadelphia, but everybody was feeding in that game. Dre Greenlaw single-handedly was murdering the Eagles for the entire game until he got kicked out. And
by the way, you see Big Dom? Speaking of Dre Greenlaw.
Oh, yeah, leveling up.
Big Dom up in the GM suite last night. They put the camera on him, and I hate to do the stereotype thing, but man, that dude was housing food.
Yeah.
And Joe and Troy just couldn't help themselves. They're just like, oh, now he's got the free food. Look at how much better life is for Dom.
Was this the long game?
Maybe.
I don't know.
Long con?
Look, like it was that game in Philly was rainy, nasty. Dom's been doing this for a while. He may have realized, you know what? I'm not about this life anymore. How can I get myself in a much more comfortable situation?
It's so smart, EJ. It's like 3-dimensional chess that Big Dom is playing just as the weather's getting bad. Disgusting conditions, most likely, and you're up in the luxury box like Bradley Cooper, chowing down on finger foods.
And he became more of a cult hero. Like now, more people know who he is, and in Philly now he's an icon. So this whole thing seemed to work out great for Big Tom. We thought, he's going to be banned from the sidelines.
Well, he is.
Yeah, but I mean,
for the rest of the year.
But how is he allowed in the stadium? I was actually wondering.
He was escorting Jalen Hurts in, not just in the stadium. Maybe he's the guy who rides with Jalen Hurts on the PJ.
I think the Eagles might have broken the spirit of that suspension by having him up in the why is Dom allowed in Seattle? I was genuinely surprised to see him.
Aren't you able to bring whoever you want? Like, not on the sidelines. Like, there's the sideline access, and then there's just team personnel.
I don't know. I just thought the spirit of it was he's not supposed to show up at the stadium, but there he was.
Front and center. I don't even know what they
looked nice.
were eating.
He had a little sport jacket combo going on.
That guy's windbreaker for life. Do you think it's chicken fingers and stuff, like even in the GM suite, or they get something better?
Oh, I hope the GMs eat better than. I love chicken fingers. I can
too.
throw down chicken fingers all day long, but I would hope that you're getting some prime rib.
Okay, but EJ, Taylor Swift was eating the chicken fingers. She's in Travis Kelce's suite, and she's just eating regular stuff.
Yeah, but she's living the bit, though. She's living the bit. So I think there's a chance that there could be lobster there, and she's saying, no, I'll take the chicken fingers and fries. I got to look like the high school girlfriend.
By the way, there was
Woman of the people.
a great video, and it's probably the most seen video of any NFL clip where she's screaming the profanity and just like
over the worst call. Like it was clearly like a good no call.
Yes.
And she's screaming. It's like,
and they caught it, and all her fans like, whoa, Taylor said that word. I got to give her props for that. I think she's really into it, and it's about time. I can't believe she's 34 and just discovering football. What's the deal?
It's so calculated, Perloff.
Don't fall for it.
It's all part of
but
the
once
scheme.
you get out there, although I don't know, her boyfriend's not playing well right now, but
blame her.
But he was playing really well when she came along, and now I think it's like the relationship's hit the next level.
He got the new girlfriend bump. You know, we saw this with Tony Romo when Jessica Simpson first came around, and he was throwing 4 touchdowns, and all of a sudden playoffs, he's dropping fumbles and losing to the Giants.
That's because now
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
All right, the Defensive Player of the Week is sponsored by the Navy Federal Credit Union, who proudly serves the Armed Forces, DoD, veterans, and their families. Their members are the mission. Learn more at NavyFederal.org. All right, it's time to choose Defensive Player of the Week. EJ picked one, and Maggie and I tried to guess.
I think I got it.
Who do you got?
It could have been Julian Love from last night. He had 2 interceptions on Jalen Hurts. And if EJ wanted to troll Perloff, that would be a perfect opportunity because he picked off Jalen Hurts twice, as I just mentioned. I actually think you're going to go with Tanoa Passingyo, the Saints pass rusher who had 3 sacks, 3 of the 7 sacks on Tommy Cutlets.
Yeah, but that's Saints Giant. You can't beating up the Giants. You can't win for that. I think it's a guy EJ and I were talking about earlier in the week. Justin Madubuike on the Ravens. You got to go Ravens. Somebody on the Ravens, and he's the emerging star pass rusher. Is in the league leaders amongst the league leaders in sacks. Somebody or Kyle Hamilton on the Ravens. We don't give that Ravens defense enough love. Beating up Tommy.
We do.
I don't know if we do.
But
the individuals, all of a sudden, Kyle Van Noy is out of the media and on the field killing it. Davion Clowney out of nowhere killing it. So I just think the Ravens need more love. Beating up Tommy Cutlets should not get you this award.
Who'd you pick?
The Defensive Player of the Week is OKC Thunder forward and former Gonzaga great Chet Holmgren.
There you go.
Who had 7 blocks in the Thunder's win over the Grizzlies last night. He collected those 7 blocks in just 25 minutes of action. He also had 8 blocks in the Thunder's Saturday win over the Nuggets, meaning Holmgren has a combined 15 blocks in the last 2 games. Now, the race for Rookie of the Year is basically a 2-man battle between Holmgren and Spurs phenom Victor Wembanyama. It's a race we're closely watching because our own Andrew Perloff will have to drive to San Antonio if Wemby wins Rookie of the Year. So a great night for Chet Holmgren, a great night for Andrew Perloff, though maybe he's not getting those tacos anymore, but great night for Andrew Perloff nonetheless. So I'm going with Chet Holmgren. And shout out to Chet because he is a Gonzaga great. I'm a big Gonzaga fan. A lot of folks told me he couldn't play in the NBA because he was too skinny and he went to Gonzaga and all this nonsense. He's been an absolute stud and he's having a fantastic
year. How long was he actually at Gonzaga?
1 year.
Okay. So I don't know.
How long is anyone anywhere?
Yeah, I just think that's I don't know if he's a Gonzaga legend like Drew Timme. I mean,
Drew Timme's icon too, but Chet Holmgren was there 1 year. He was one of the best freshmen, maybe the best freshman in the country. He was number 3 pick in the draft. Or number 2 pick in the draft.
I just think, I think maybe you're overstating the Gonzaga legend, but I do love this because I don't know.
He's the highest draft pick in Gonzaga history.
And what did he do in the tournament? Actually, I don't remember.
They lost in the Sweet 16.
I think that there's probably, if you were just going to say Gonzaga basketball legend, the first player that comes to mind, let's all say it. 1, 2, 3, Adam Morrison. Wait, what? Who'd you say?
Stockton.
Okay, well, Stockton, yes. I would say Adam Morrison.
I mean, he's on that Mount Rushmore.
Okay.
There's a Mount Rushmore of Zags. I think that is Timme. I think that is Stockton. I think that is Adam Morrison. 4th guy, you can it's a pick of the litter, honestly.
Who's the guy that Magic took who...
Jalen Suggs.
Jalen Suggs. Yeah, he was probably better at Gonzaga than most of these.
And then you'd have to take somebody from the initial Sweet 16 team.
Yeah,
Matt Frantangelo or Ricky Fromm.
Well, I think, Ricky Fromm, that says Gonzaga. But Jalen Suggs hit that buzzer beater to get to the Final Four. That was an iconic moment.
Also a Gonzaga icon. There's no reason why we can't give all these guys their flowers. And I'm happy
this
become a Gonzaga segment as a Gonzaga fan, but I'm just shouting out Chet Holmgren because, again, they said he would be a bust.
That's like saying a Duke legend. Like, you can't put a one
Ellen
and done.
Brand, Duke legend.
Well, Ellen Brand is probably more than some guys, but generally, I think the one and dones are less of a
It's
legend.
a different era, though. I mean, is KD not a Texas legend? Of course he is.
No.
Are you kidding me?
Kevin Durant's not a Duke legend.
Kevin Durant's number is hanging in the rafters.
Well, I'd do that too if I were them because
Right.
I'm hoping he's going to give
Well,
donations.
Who are the other Texas basketball
but
legends?
like the way we think of college basketball is totally different now. These
Yes.
guys that come in 1 year, they shift the culture. Is Derrick Rose not a Memphis legend? Are you kidding me? Of course
Well,
he is.
he is. Carmelo is.
Carmelo Anthony,
But
come
he
on.
won the title.
But Derrick Rose made it to the final game.
Yeah.
Right, but you just made a case for Jalen Suggs, who also made it to the final game.
No, but Kevin Durant, didn't they go out in the second round?
Right, he averaged 30.
I'm just
As a
saying
freshman.
they didn't go very far. LaMarcus Aldridge, I guess, would also be Texas basketball.
Yeah, I
Another
remember
great
the
one. They went to
Sixers
the
had
Final
this
Four
guy,
as well.
BJ Ford out of Texas. I think he was all-time leading
TJ
scorer.
Ford was a
TJ
great
Ford.
point guard out of Texas.
Yes.
All
Wow,
right.
that was a tangent. But by the way, thank you for putting Chet in there.
Yeah, shout out to
I like
Andrew
it.
Perloff. He's got a leg to stand on in this anti-Wemby take.
Oh, man. But we really should be rooting for Wembanyama as a whole here. But that was a good pick, EJ. Fordham legend Andrew Bogusch is here.
They lost again, guys. Their quarterback threw the ball to the other team twice. The tush push exposed as cheating. They changed their defensive coordinator on the sly last week. Not to mention the Phillies lost the NLCS and the Sixers lost at home to the Bulls last night. The Eagles have had better Decembers. They didn't trail on Monday Night Football in Seattle until Jackson Smith and Jigba's TD catch with 28 seconds left in regulation. The Seahawks getting a 2017 win, extending the Phillies skid to 3 games. Now, until the end, that Eagle D looked better with Matt Patricia replacing coordinator Sean Desai. Nick Sirianni made that change after their previous loss.
I didn't feel like we were playing well enough and coaching well enough on defense, so I made an adjustment, and it was my decision, and that's what I did.
The Eagles also dealing last night with a sick Jalen Hurts. He ran for 2 scores, but also tossed a pair of fourth-quarter picks, including one after Seattle took the lead. The loss keeps Dallas atop the NFC East and the Eagles in the 5 seed. The Seahawks, meanwhile, snapped their 4-game skid. They're now one of 4 7-7 teams in the NFC. The Vikings and Rams have playoff spots this morning. Seattle and New Orleans do not. Those Rams and those Saints play on Thursday night this week. Neither team practiced yesterday, but did have to submit an injury report. LA receiver Tutu Atwell would have been a full participant after missing last weekend with a concussion. Chris Olave would not have been on the field in New Orleans because of his ankle injury. Bengals wide out. Jamar Chase expected to miss at least Saturday against the Steelers with last weekend's shoulder injury.
Man, they reported that at first, Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, it's day to day. Like he really dodged a bullet here, and then it's like, no, it's a separated AC joint. I'm like, wait a minute, that's not dodging anything.
No. Also, they use the designation sometime. He'll miss some time. What the heck does some time mean?
That means
sometime
it
could
means
be
a few
month.
weeks.
It could be, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I heard sometime like, oh my gosh, is he going to play this regular season again?
This is what the Bengals do. Don't you remember Zach Taylor talking about Joe Burrow's calf in training camp? He's like, he'll be out for an undetermined amount of time-space continuum. It's like, well, they make this so tough.
And then Joe Burrow came back about 2 months before anyone expected him to come back.
I know.
Amazing.
The Lakers hung their NBA Cup banner last night and then deservedly lost to the Knicks, 114-109. LeBron, though, stands by the decision to add this banner to the ones for real titles.
Acknowledge, wins throughout the course of a marathon. I think that's I think it's pretty cool, and that's the first inauguration of it. We was able to win it, so. For our fans that didn't get an opportunity to be in Vegas, they got an opportunity to kind of share that celebration with us tonight.
Yes.
Yeah?
All the Lakers things that they win come outside of LA. It was the bubble title. Now this.
But if you didn't make it to LA to see them beat the Pacers, do you walk into whatever it's called now last night and see the banner and go, okay, now I feel whole. This is right now.
I thought it was a little bit presumptuous that when they hung the banners first, they're like nestled in between the banners of like NBA titles from the 50s and the 80s and stuff, which probably rubs people the wrong way. But it's like a rectangle with a triangle at the bottom, and they are definitely leaving space for more years.
Yes.
Are we sure the Lakers are going to win more of
Well,
these?
I think that's their compromise to the we can't believe you're doing this argument, that they're like, well, we're going to have one banner and we can add the years on if we do win it again, as opposed to hanging one every time they win this
But I have
thing?
a question, though. So we know that they're going to up the stakes of this in-season tournament. It's not going to stay the way it is.
You think it's going to be playoff berth or
It's
something?
going to be something.
Okay.
This will age better 10 years from now or 15 years from now, maybe even sooner, because what's going to happen is there's going to be a time where winning this in-season tournament is going to guarantee you something important. And then when we look back and we see the Lakers having a banner up there saying they've won it 3-4 times or whatever, it's not going to look as crazy as it looks today, because right now it was only money and the players played hard, and by all accounts it was a pretty good success. But because the stakes didn't result in anything regarding winning a championship or going to the playoffs or even a draft pick, it looks a little weird. I guarantee you when this thing gets more amped up, that won't look as crazy.
So the problem, though, about attaching some kind of playoff spot to it is you're trying to do this to curtail load management. But if you put a playoff spot and all of a sudden a team has secured a playoff spot in December, you're actually encouraging load management for that team. So I don't know what you do.
I agree with that. Here's the problem with the in-season tournament. It accentuates the problem that is the NBA regular season. Not only does it show that, oh my gosh, this 82-game season is way too long. It's so boring. Who cares? The teams don't care what happens in December. So they basically admitted that. So they put in this in-season tournament. The problem is the game after the in-season tournament, it reminds you again, oh my God, so now these games don't mean anything. Like the Lakers lost the Knicks last night. In the big picture, that means less than me losing a pickup game on Saturday. It's just nothing. There's nothing to grab onto. So the in-season tournament is a fix for a problem that somehow seems worse now that we have the in-season tournament.
I don't know how the problem is worse when if you normally would have had, they would have played November and December basketball. It's not like they just don't play basketball and they say, all right, we'll see you in April. Like they play these games. So you got to see these guys play. The games were elevated. They were very intense. There was excitement for the games. I don't know how it makes the regular season worse because you got to see better basketball.
Don't the games feel flat now?
Wait, can I actually give
they
you
were flat anyway, to your point.
low-key the biggest takeaway from the in-season tournament that might actually end up maybe mattering a little bit? I think that Zion getting embarrassed at times in that in-season tournament may have lit a little bit of a fire under him. And they're the 7th seed right now. They're 16-11, and he's been playing better. That might be end up being the best and biggest takeaway, because people said he looked fat, that he looked slow, he looked, disinterested at times, and got kind of embarrassed there.
What was interesting was last night after the game when they asked LeBron, 'cause I think the Lakers haven't played that great since winning an in-season tournament.
No, they're 1-3.
Right, and then they asked him about it. He said, well, what's the Pacers record? I think the Pacers are 1-4. He said,
A little hangover?
Maybe
in-season championship hangover?
He said maybe there's something to it. I don't know.
Or maybe neither one of them is a very good team.
Well, the Pacers are not a great team.
I mean, the Lakers just went to the conference finals.
Yeah.
Why do I feel like I'm always defending the Lakers on this show?
Well,
this makes me sick, by the way.
They got swept in the conference finals.
Well.
Yeah, I mean, okay.
But they beat the Warriors.
Right. They beat the Warriors.
I mean, the ghost of what remains of the Warriors. Okay,
there were 4 teams left in the playoffs.
No, the Warriors were the defending champs last year.
Right. Do we only care about the Nuggets and the Heat?
My God. First of all, you were lowering the expectations for LeBron James and the Lakers to a point where it's like, yes, they should hang a banner, because the fact that you don't think that was a disappointment that they got swept in the conference finals?
No, I thought it was amazing
they
made
never
it to
got swept?
I thought it was awesome that they made it to the Western Conference Finals, and that's on you. You always say I bring up Jordan. You just brought up Jordan.
I know. That's my new Twitter thing. Anytime LeBron does anything, I say, do you think Jordan would do this? And everyone just gets so
Jordan
furious.
did get swept early in his career, but I got to...
Yeah, quite a bit early on. And again, now defending LeBron. What is this show?
Bogusch, what else you got?
Well, and not to argue about something that may never happen or is too far down the road, but EJ, if you live in a world where you're going to accept the winner of the NBA Cup in December clinching a playoff spot, that would be the most gimmicky thing I can think of any league doing. You should be, whatever podcast you're on, chat rooms, whatever. You cannot let this happen.
Why would that be so bad?
Chat rooms.
How in the world could you let a team clinch a playoff spot by winning a bunch of games in Vegas in December?
You give them a playing spot. That's been what's been talked about. Is you give them a playing spot because you still got to win 2 more games. It doesn't mean that you're guaranteed a playoff spot.
Wait, what's more gimmicky? Would it be that, or when baseball's home field in the World Series?
Right.
Is determined by the All-Star game?
And guess what? And no one liked that from the beginning.
Yeah.
The dumb commissioner did it, and now it doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah.
Wait.
Smart to get rid of that.
20 out of 30 teams make the playoffs in the NBA, and 14 teams are tanking. You don't need to give away a free playoff spot. If you can't make the playoff, you don't have a pulse. You should go to the hospital. Everybody makes the playoffs, Bogusch, so who cares if they give it?
Because the NBA should be better than this, than granting playoff spots to beg teams to play hard in December.
They're 10 deep in both conferences in playoff spots.
I'm confused.
10 deep.
I know.
So what's the bigger issue? The fact that we have a regular season that you say doesn't matter.
It's too long.
Or that putting stakes on the regular season is too much because now we're being gimmicky. Like what I dislike about this conversation all the time is there's never a solution that works. It's always, well, we know shortening the season is not on the table.
No.
It's not going to happen. So, okay, what do? We put it in season tournament. Oh, you can't do that because who cares about the in-season tournament? Okay, well, let's raise the stakes. Well, no, you can't do that because then you look gimmicky. Okay, well, let's do nothing. Let's go back to the regular season. Well, no,
then
the regular season is boring. I'm watching football. What do you people want?
Just wake me up for the playoffs. That's all I want because the rest
I think
is
it's become
garbage.
that sport for a lot of people. It's become, and listen,
like NCAA basketball.
It's just become for a lot of fans who are still watching the NBA.
Then what difference does it make?
They just want to watch the playoffs.
But if you're going to watch the playoffs, then what difference does it make if you're not watching and then they decide to do this in-season tournament and they raise the stakes? What difference does it make?
Right. So why yuck EJ's yums?
Right.
You know?
Who cares? You're only going to turn on in April, so you won't even know the Lakers won the in-season tournament.
Oh, no, I will, because I'll be telling you about it during updates.
Mocking it.
Yeah.
What else you got, folks?
We've got the Pistons. Nothing matters to them come postseason time because they lost again last night, 130-124 in Atlanta. The losing streak is now 24 games too shy of the all-time mark.
Go. I mean, now we got a root for history here.
And you came this close. You can't come this close and not set the record. Once you're here, set the record.
Wait,
who has the all-time mark?
The Nets, right?
No, the number's 26.
Is it that bad Sixers team?
I think it is, actually.
Yeah.
I remember the Nets were on the verge of having the longest losing streak, and they changed coaches and made an interim coach the game. It was so dirty. It was like, you just don't. None of the coaches, like Kiki Vandeweghe, didn't want this on his coaching record. So they made some like lower coach.
Tom Barese.
Yeah,
the Cavs, 2010
I actually
Cavs
knew his name. I just didn't want to say
2013
it.
Sorry, Tom.
Wait a minute. Okay, so the Sixers have it. Who are the next two games?
No, the Cavs and the Sixers.
The Nets. Back-to-back games, the Nets.
Back-to-back games with the Nets.
Pretty sure it is. The 23rd and the 20...
I wish the Nets had this record. This would make these games
Wait,
so good.
that's here in New York. Should we go to that game? It's Saturday night, I think.
Oh, my God.
You're just giving me
They have the
Saturday
Nuggets
plans?
on Friday.
Oh,
and
I'm not
Saturday.
here this weekend.
That'd be hilarious to go.
I'm not here this weekend either, but you would have to pay me so much money to go to that game.
It's like 5 minutes from your house.
You could offer me the free food seats. Forget it. There is no way on earth I'm going to that game. Although I did like Cade Cunningham at one point.
He had 43 points last night and they still lost.
Jeez.
They got to do something.
Yeah,
Adam Silver's got to step in, do something.
Do what?
I mean,
give him a playoff spot.
I don't know.
I mean, look at the 2010.
I take it back. It's the Jazz and then the Nets twice.
Yeah, home for the Jazz and then in Brooklyn Saturday night.
Things worked out pretty good for those two losing streak teams. The Cavs, that losing streak led to LeBron, and then that didn't lead to LeBron. It led to what they got Kyrie out of that loss. But I mean, you're tanking, you're gonna get a number one pick. There's got to be somebody eventually who's gonna come to Detroit, right? Anyone?
This is not a great draft, so this is you should have did this last year if you were going to do this.
But Cade's a stud. And they have.
I was going to say Izzy. I like him, but the problem has been does he impact winning in any way? I mean, when I watch them, he looks like a guy that's just going to get his numbers, and then it doesn't matter kind of what else happens. Now his team is awful, so maybe this is a bad way to judge him, but. For someone they raved about during the NBA, during the Team USA practices, they wanted to put him on the national team for the World Cup because that's how good he played. He didn't want to play because he was coming back from injury. They raved about this guy, and he has 2 wins this season. I mean, it just seems like they were talking about a different person.
Let's go. Let's break this record. You can do it, Pistons.
And you guys will remember that the Ottawa Senators have already fired their GM this season. Now head coach DJ Smith got the boot yesterday. He's replaced by Jacques Martin, who was Ottawa's coach from 95 through 04. He came back a few weeks ago as a special advisor to the coaching staff. That's 5 coaching changes already in the NHL, and we're not even into 2024. No patience in hockey these days.
Apparently not.
Black Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Good grief. Well, thank you, Andrew Bogusch. Coming up, major college football quarterback news. We've got that for you. Stay tuned. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie, great Andrew Perloff here. You know, because there's so much NFL news, we do not want it to get lost in the shuffle that things are going crazy right now in college football. I've been calling it the transfer portal, but in some cases, it's actually just good old-fashioned high school recruiting that's back on the docket as well. Perloff's going to get us up to speed on the biggest things you missed in college football.
No, it is not good old-fashioned college recruiting because Dylan Raiola, the number one quarterback of the next class, has now been committed to Ohio State, Georgia.
I heard of it.
And now he just flipped to Nebraska, where his father went, Dominic Raiola, former NFL player.
Yep.
So originally, and also, by the way, he quasi-committed to USC at one point in there, way back when. He was linked to Lincoln Riley. So I just think it feels like it has a transfer portal energy in the sense that, don't you think he's just been sort of shopping around the best deal? And the old days of recruiting, you commit to a school, that's long gone. Everybody's flipping 5 times. And here's the thing. He might be committed to Nebraska now. Do you really think he's going to end up at Nebraska in the long term?
Well, no, but that's just because I'm watching what's going on. But he has like all the ties. You mentioned the father, played at Nebraska, then went on to play in the NFL for 12 years. And his uncle right now is the offensive line coach at Nebraska.
Yeah, why do you think that is?
To try to lure the nephew to the school. But listen, I think I thought this one was interesting because kudos to Nebraska. Like, you've got to use every connection you have to try and land these recruits. I mean, when was the last time that Nebraska landed a 5-star quarterback?
Yeah, I mean, but this is an exception, though. I don't think they would have got any because he was going to go there. Before Georgia, it looked like it was headed to Nebraska. I think this is a bit of an exception.
But this is a coup for Matt Rule no matter what, because even it looked bad when he decided to go, went to Georgia. Now he is actually going to end up going to Nebraska. So good for Rule.
And I'm a big fan of Matt Rule, actually. I think it was all, I think the Panthers, we now look back at that was a messed up situation all around. But I just worry, you bring in a 5-star recruit like this, and all of a sudden you have pressure. And I don't think the 5-star recruit is going to end up having his best years there. So I do think this adds a lot of pressure to Matt Rule to win. And it's not that easy. I just think the days of you getting Trevor Lawrence and it working out are long gone because I think the players want to transfer because they get new NIL deals. So I just worry a little bit of the pressure here because now all of a sudden Nebraska is relevant. Now there's real pressure. Last year, Matt Rule had a couple wins, but there was no pressure on him at all. Now it's real. So it is a great day, but I'm telling you, with that comes a lot of issues.
I think the pressure is a privilege like Billie Jean King line if you're Nebraska, because I think there have been so many people who are like, oh, that was a great program back in the day, and they haven't been able to get it right in a long time. So to actually have pressure and expectations at Nebraska in a real way, not just like, fanatical fans, I think is really important for a program like that if they want to become relevant again.
Yes, but let's look at the other 2 5-star recruits are in the news. Malachi Nelson left USC.
Well, that's our other big news.
Yes, he's reportedly entering the transfer portal. And all the rumors and the message boards say that they were not in love with him. And then Dante Moore is leaving another 5-star recruit's leaving UCLA for Oregon, but he was a bit of a disappointment too for UCLA. So it just again proving 5-star is one thing. Those guys, I mean, how fast are Malachi Nelson and Dante Moore moving on, who were the big news when they both signed with their original schools? So I'm just being a little bit of a wet blanket here. Yes, the Dylan Raiola news is huge, but in today's college football world, nothing lasts they're like the NFL, nothing lasts long.
Well, I think for Raiola, go back to him for a second at Nebraska. And again, this is a 5-star high school recruit, son of a longtime NFL offensive lineman who decided to go to Nebraska. I mean, following in the father's footsteps, sure, but that is a big deal. I think he's got to start right away, right?
Well, listen, maybe, but Nebraska has been desperately trying to get an older quarterback too. They went reportedly all out on Kyle McCord and didn't land him. So he's awfully young. Do you really want to start a true freshman?
Well, I think that's kind of the risk and the gift and the curse of landing someone like this. I think they end up having a lot of power, or I think whatever they want kind of goes because, again, you land this high-profile recruit. Now, I thought Arch Manning could have flexed that muscle if he wanted to, and he didn't. And now they're in the college football playoff with Quinn Ewers at the quarterback, and Quinn's probably coming back next year. But I wouldn't be surprised if we saw him starting. Now, the Malachi Nelson thing I thought was also interesting because he leaves. You get a sense that, because he had been like the heir apparent to get Caleb Williams and now he's moving on. Clearly, the coaching staff told him, hey, kid, hit the portal. Right?
Well, in so many words, sure.
Right.
Maybe they probably said you could hang out around as a backup, but you're not starting.
Right. So after 2 years in the program, I think at this point you're going to go, right? And so this is interesting because USC doesn't have a quarterback right now.
Well, yeah, but they're clearly going transfer portal.
No, they will, but a lot of guys, like some of the dominoes have kind of fallen here.
But he was actually a true freshman. I know he'd been hanging around USC.
I thought that they had him in the program for over a year.
Yeah, and also I think he was third string by the time Miller Moss, who would have started. So they'll bring in, what's the reports, Will Howard or Malik Murphy. So Lincoln Riley's clearly going transfer portal. He does not want. He's going into the Big Ten. He does not want to start a 19-year-old quarterback. That's a reality. I think teams are competitive, and you cannot win with young players. It's just like college basketball.
My question, though, would be how many of these good quarterbacks are to go around? I mean, we saw last year Florida was convinced they were going to get Kid McCall from Coastal Carolina. They didn't get him, and they kind of were stuck with the bag. They ended up with Grant Mertz, who, shout out to him, no disrespect, but clearly he was not one of the upper echelon quarterbacks of the SEC.
Wow.
And they kind of got left with the bag. And some of these teams that are right now kind of saying, oh, we'll just get our guy at the portal. Florida can tell you it does. Sometimes the grass isn't always greener on that portal side.
I don't totally agree with that. Graham Mertz was at least a huge recruit. Like, I don't think Graham Mertz was like garbage. I know he's bad at Wisconsin, but that's not the. At least he was a name.
It was a name, but it didn't. What it ended up mattering.
Nobody was excited about Graham Mertz going to Florida.
Graham Mertz did a nice job at Florida this year. I thought he was really good.
They won 6 games this year.
Yeah, but Mertz was in and out. I thought Mertz was okay. Anyway, what were you saying?
Well, I'm just thinking about, so if USC knew that they needed a quarterback, why are we waiting till now after some of these dominoes have already fallen to kind of figure this out? And and it's not that late. There's still plenty of guys out there. Yeah. But I thought one reason may have been, are people thinking that Lincoln Riley might still be going to the NFL?
Oh, I don't think so. I mean, I'm not sure the NFL wants him now. But obviously, I think they've had Will Howard on campus, and they've had Malik Murray. So if you're Malachi Nelson, you see Will Howard come in, the Kansas State quarterback, and also they have the number one recruit who for 2026 who just reclassified to 2025, a kid who was actually on the cover of Sports Illustrated, Juju Lewis.
Yep.
So they have a future quarterback, and Malachi Nelson clearly wasn't it.
Because these commits flip every year.
Well, that's what I'm
saying. That's you can't say 2025 feels like it's a million years from now in quarterback land.
Yeah, so that's why. Listen, USC, they have a very tough schedule next year, and they need a guy who knows what he's doing there. They cannot have an unproven guy. I think that's exactly what Lincoln Riley's thinking.
Anyone else that we had to get to?
Georgia losing all their recruits. This was Friday. I saw a number. Aaron Murray was tweeting. They lost 17 sort of blue chip recruits, and then they lost Marvin Jones Jr., who is the son of former NFL player Marvin Jones. So is something going wrong with Kirby Smart? Is there a reason that bringing in some guys, but obviously Brock Vandegrift, the big quarterback recruit, left. So all of a sudden, Georgia, the hottest program in the country, is not anymore. I don't understand.
Wait, but they just got the news that Carson Beck's going to be coming back.
Yeah, no duds. Carson Beck's coming back. Well, he's not going into this year.
That's a good sign for them, no?
Oh, no. Carson Beck, there's no way Carson Beck was entering this draft when he can be in top 10 pick next year.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Maggie and Perloff coming up. The one thing you have to be watching for tonight, we've got it for you.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining.
I'm Maggie.
Minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He's a violin prodigy. Her full name is Maggie the Stallion. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Wow, the Seattle Seahawks may be back in the playoff race. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Thrilling one on Monday Night Football. If you couldn't stay up for it, couldn't stay up late, it was the Seahawks with a come-from-behind win. They had a backup quarterback in Drew Lock who engineered a touchdown drive, 3 passes to DK Metcalf that were on the money, and then a touchdown pass to Jackson Smith-Njigba, former Ohio State wide receiver, back of the end zone. Thing of beauty. Unfortunately, Perloff's Eagles go home disappointed.
It was a lucky win for the Seahawks.
Oh, sure.
Actually, no, it was a great win for the Seahawks, but this was a game the Eagles blew.
Yep.
Jalen Hurts, he threw 2 interceptions. The last one, whatever, they were running out of time. The one before that, the Eagles were in a position to sort of keep driving the ball and run the clock out on Seattle. Instead, they try this 50-yard pass to Quez Watkins, who gets muscled out by Julian Love.
Yep.
Probably a penalty, but regardless, it was a dumb call, and it was a dumb decision by Jalen Hurts to let it go. Once again, Nick Sirianni has been a good coach, no doubt. The guy made the Super Bowl, but he does feel to lack a little bit of game management here. Again, in typical Perloff fashion, though, I am taking this all with a grain of salt.
Of course you are.
Because if they win last night's game, does anything in the NFC change? Nothing. There's no way. The team I saw last night has no chance against the San Francisco 49ers. Matt Patricia took over as defensive coordinator a little bit better, but this is a very flawed team.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I think the big takeaway for me is you lose 3 straight and you just don't look like a Super Bowl team right now. Now, to make things a little better, that doesn't mean you can't get yourself back to looking good because you're playing the Giants twice and the Arizona Cardinals. You still can win the NFC East if you win out. Obviously, Dallas' schedule is a bit tougher, starting with Miami Dolphins this week. But, you still have a shot. I just think that confidence level right now in the Eagles is the lowest it's probably been in quite some time because this was a juggernaut of a team last year, lost only 1 game in the regular season, right? And
no, they lost
3 games.
3 games because Gardner Minshew lost 2.
And it was just you have this unbeatable play with the tush push. Turns out Jason Kelce has maybe been moving the ball like a yard up on this play all season long. They're starting to ding him for it. He got called for a penalty on the tush push last night, so that's kind of rare. But you have this unstoppable play, and you have an MVP candidate quarterback, but Jalen Hurts is turning the ball over now just way too much. And even with the tush push and the defense now with the Eagles, it just does not feel the same.
Well, a couple of important things are different. Jalen Hurts has been, he took the knee brace off, but you can see him half limping. It does not look right when he runs the ball. Ran a lot last night, but it looks painful for him. So he's way less explosive as a runner, and the defense cannot get after the quarterback. Is any quarterback scared of this defensive line anymore? Maybe it's because Javon Hargrave's gone. Maybe it's because they know the cornerbacks can't cover. But there is just this defense is not intimidating anyone, with or without our guy Matt Patricia.
I mean, this is Georgia North here with all those defensive players from
Jalen
Georgia.
Carter is legit. The fact that I forget character. This is the most exciting rookie the Eagles gotten on defense in forever. He never should have fallen to number 9. He is explosive. But who else? Who else scares you? Fletcher Cox is about 100 years old. Brandon Graham is still producing, but they basically got old on defense and they lost a couple free agents. So that's what really worries me. I mean, honestly, if they'd won last night, say, for example, Drew Lock doesn't throw that awesome touchdown pass to the end.
Yeah.
Does it make any difference? I mean, is anyone closing the gap on the 49ers team that blew them out 3 weeks ago?
No, I think things are setting up quite nicely here for the 49ers, if we're going to be honest. I mean, it's...
Yeah, and for Seattle, the same thing for Seattle. Seattle, if they make the playoffs, guess who's eventually going to be waiting for them? Is a San Francisco team they have no chance against.
Yeah, we saw that last year, and they kept it close in the first half in the playoffs, and the driving rain in San Francisco, and then ultimately the 49ers pulled away. But... it's the 49ers, it's theirs to lose at this point. And it's not that because the Eagles couldn't pull it together in the next 3 weeks. It's not because the Dallas Cowboys are a bad team. It's because who really, in their right mind, beyond the staunchest Dallas Cowboy fan, would actually be picking the Cowboys to beat the 49ers this time? They have the mental edge. They have the physical edge, all of that stuff. And
it'll probably be in San Francisco.
And so things are just setting up nicely. I mean, does anyone trust the Detroit Lions going on the road to play in San Francisco?
No.
I just don't
Jared
think
Goff
so.
outside? No.
So meanwhile, that's what's going on. The 49ers, really, things are breaking quite nicely for them this year, and they're earning it because they've looked dominant. Okay. Tom Brady is now the gift that keeps on giving. This guy has so many opinions about the NFL. In some ways, it's really refreshing because oftentimes Perloff superstars, and Brady has done this his whole career, they don't want to say anything, right? They don't want to put their opinions out there. They don't want to get the backlash. They don't want to ruin their brand. They don't want to take the slings and arrows. But here comes Brady now, almost a full year removed from the NFL. He's going to be going into broadcasting, and he's letting the opinions fly. And this can only bode well for him, I think, when he gets to broadcasting. So yesterday, was it yesterday this came out about Damontae Kazee?
Yes.
So
Damontae Kazee suspended yesterday.
He was suspended for the rest of the season for the hit that knocked out Colts wide receiver Michael Pittman on Saturday in the second quarter. Brutal hit. I mean, Pittman is the definition of defenseless because he's literally in the middle of the field going up to catch a ball. And here comes KZ just with the helmet, just knocks him out cold, right? Really difficult to watch. KZ was kicked out of that game. He was ejected from that game, and then he got suspended for the year. Now, this made it out to social media yesterday, and I have to read it for you because Tom Brady wrote a response to the suspension. Here's what he wrote. Nobody likes seeing players get hurt, but hard hits happen. Quarterbacks should not be throwing the ball in areas where they are exposing their own teammates to these types of hits. Coaches need to coach better. Quarterbacks need to read coverages and throw the ball to the right places, and defenders should aim for the right hitting areas. To put the blame on the defensive player all the time is just flat out wrong. Need better quarterback play, ! It's not okay, quarterbacks, to get your wide receivers hit because of your bad decisions, !
Yeah.
I think Brady has a point here. I think he does. Listen, you're never going to be perfect here, and unfortunately, hits like this are going to keep happening because it's a brutal sport. But part of the skill of playing quarterback should be trying to make sure you can put the ball where no one else can catch it except for your receiver and trying to save them from these big hits.
Right. I mean, you know that transference, or that expression, when you are calling out a fault in somebody else because it's really your own fault, one finger pointing at the other person, 4 pointing back at you. I'm almost positive that there's no quarterback in NFL history who's caused more concussions for his wide receivers than Tom Brady. Just because of the fact that Tom Brady did he play longer than any quarterback?
Well, yeah.
And listen, Wes Welker called himself the poster child for concussions. Who do you think was throwing him all of his passes? Wes Welker worked in the middle field. Tom Brady loved the middle of the field, and his receivers got blown up all the time. I looked at the Super Bowl highlight. The most famous one was Julian Edelman.
Right.
Got blown up in the Super Bowl by Cam Chancellor. Brady threw right over the middle, basically right at Cam Chancellor's helmet. So this happened all the time. Wes Welker, Gronkowski, there's video montages of him taking massive hits. He used to float it to Gronkowski and then take a huge hit just because Gronk was so big, but Gronk's body wore down. Brady led guys into hits all the time, more so, way more than Gardner Minshew.
Okay, here's the thing. I don't think that Brady, like, having to work the middle of the field, he also, I think there were a lot of hits that did not happen also because of Tom Brady. You're talking like every single play that Julian Edelman and Wes Welker were getting concussed.
Yes.
Perloff.
Yes.
No, that's not true.
There's probably no receiver in our lifetime who has been more concussion-oriented than Wes Welker. Wes Welker had real problems. He got blown up all the time.
Okay, well, we don't have the data to back that up, so you can just wildly speculate here.
Well, no, Wes Welker, he actually called himself, I am the poster child for concussions in the NFL.
Okay, but here's a question. Do you not think that part of the skill of being a quarterback should be to try to make sure you're not putting your wide receiver in a bad spot? You think that it's, okay, so that's what Brady's saying here. And he's saying,
he did not do. That's what I'm saying. Brady didn't do it. Wes Welker had 6 media-documented concussions as an NFL player, including 3 in a 9-month period, but Welker himself said it was probably a lot more.
Okay, but this is now, you also don't want players taking advantage of the rules now that so balance and skew the offense that quarterbacks feel like they can throw it wherever they want to on the field, and whether the wide receiver gets hit or whatever, you're all of a sudden not only just getting a potential catch, but also a 15-yard penalty on top of it. Like, you are taking some of the skill out of the game, and it's you and EJ who keep complaining about how terrible the quarterback play is in this league. I mean, we're talking about all these backups and how bad they are. I think Brady has a point here.
But will you agree with me?
You just think Brady's being a hypocrite.
He's being a complete hypocrite because he threw so many balls that got his guys killed, and he's saying like he was some perfect guy at this. I think he feels guilty, and that's why he's acting so weird about this.
No, I don't know about that. Maybe he does feel guilty, but but the point is really he's saying we shouldn't just be looking at the defensive players here. Whether he led some of his wide receivers into concussions and into hard hits.
Oh, come on.
Perloff, whether he did it or not, I think the point is still valid, which is we put all of this on the defensive player now. We put none of the onus on the offensive players to protect themselves, right? And to try to protect themselves. We've gone so far to the other side. And listen, I think probably for good reason. We know too much about head injuries now. We don't want guys getting head injuries. But Brady's saying it takes some of the skill out of the game. And I feel bad at times for the defensive guys because not all of them are headhunting and they are getting penalized and game-changing penalties simply for playing the position hard, not being dirty.
Okay.
Right?
Well, first of all, all that does make sense. I hear you. But this idea that Tom Brady is saying quarterbacks were so much better back in the day is insane. Quarterbacks are 100% better right now because they've been throwing the ball since they were 9 years old all over the field. They're guys make throws today that weren't even imaginable 25 years ago when Brady entered the league in 2000.
Yeah, Drew Lock with that nice one to JSN.
I mean, that
was a real beaut. He's a backup.
Do you think there are guys that can make throws that Justin Herbert is making, or even throws Jalen Hurts made? Those throws were not made 20 years ago. Part of it is because the defense is hamstrung, and I understand what you're saying. It was hard for KZ to pull back on that one, but you could see it in the moment. He lined him up and he took him out. He easily could have broken up that pass without doing that. And actually, that's when the game kind of turned on the Steelers. Steelers were about, they were ahead. And I was like, oh, my gosh, another stupid Steelers play. Because I had bet against Gardner Minshew. And I'm like, oh, the Steelers clearly have no interest in playing a smart football game here. And it turned out to be right.
That was right. Now, maybe this particular play was the wrong one for Brady to highlight. But I do think there are other ones where the defensive player, they automatically, whether they're just trying to make a play or not, they automatically are the ones who are in the wrong. Like, it's impossible to play corner or safety in this NFL, and you're not always going to do it in a perfect way because you're trying to tackle a moving target.
Yeah, I hear you. But also, by the way, this is not like 2023. I mean, how long have they been flagging this?
I mean, a while.
Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing. Brady, as you
has
pointed,
benefited from all this, no doubt.
Brady's been in this NFL I don't know. This old man, I did everything better than you is kind of ridiculous because honestly, like I'm telling you, you think Peyton Manning and Tom Brady were not leading their receivers into hits? Those guys have more completions than anyone in the NFL. They probably caused 50 times the amount of concussions at Gardner Minshew.
Okay, but you weren't with Brady when he said that the league was mediocre, and now you are. Right?
No,
you're,
I'm not.
You're coming around on that.
Oh no, this year, I'm just saying the football this year has been mediocre because there's so many backup quarterbacks.
And I think that people are going to come around on this take too, which is basically Brady saying that you can't just constantly blame the defensive player. The quarterback has to take some responsibility also if they lead their receiver into harm's way.
Responsibility that he never took. So that's why I have a problem. Like he is not the one to call, but he never took responsibility. I've never heard him say, "I'm sorry" to Wes Welker.
The only thing I will say, and I think I understand what you're saying, Perloff, but they played in a different era, okay? Like, this idea that, okay, he's leading guys into big hits. Those guys were taking big hits whether he was leading into these guys or not. Like, they played in an era where you could take a guy out, you can go helmet to helmet, and they weren't throwing a flag.
Did Tom Brady ever avoided the middle of the field one time in his entire 400-year NFL
Tom Brady's
career?
Ball placement is impeccable.
Impeccable,
So
right. He can put it right between two defenders. And what's going to happen on that second defender he's behind? He's going to blow up the receiver.
No, but I've also seen him put it in a spot where he does protect his player. This idea that he never did that is not true.
That's what I think also.
I mean, but you guys disagreed on Wes Welker. I mean, you're wrong about that.
No,
Wes Welker is definitely the biggest concussion case.
I totally
of the
agree
last
about Wes
20 years
Welker
as
having those
receiver.
concussions. I don't disagree with that. I do think some of that is how he played football. Like,
yes.
He's a guy who lived over the middle. He played as a slot receiver. I think to say we're going to just put that all on Tom Brady and put that all on Peyton Manning is entirely unfair because there are plenty of other receivers who also lived over the middle that had a lot of concussions. Is Ben Roethlisberger to blame for Hines Ward to get in a bunch of concussions? No, Hines Ward played the game like a savage. And I say that in the best way possible. He was a dog.
Is Tom Brady the guy to call out quarterbacks for throwing over the middle or throwing down the seam?
I think he is because he is saying that, like, look, I played in an era where if you did this, guys got killed, and I tried my best not to do that. These guys are playing it. These guys
he did not. He didn't try at all.
Well, I think so because
totally
he's saying like he said this before, not in this quote, but he said it before on his podcast, which is when we're playing against Ray Lewis, that's a real advantage for the defense that I have to try to find a way to avoid Ray Lewis in the middle of the field. I've got to try to find a way to avoid Ed Reed. I've got to work around these guys. In this day and age in the NFL, that's not really part of this game.
Right. And these guys are taking advantage of the fact that they don't think they have to do that. So Tom is saying, you guys thinking you're taking advantage of the rules now by saying, look, I'm just going to throw the ball out there and it doesn't matter. They can't hit them. It's unfair to the defense to say, well, it's always their fault because they can't make a play on those certain situations. Now, do I agree with this opinion, this particular case? No, because KZ clearly was just headhunting there and he's had a problem this season. But I think his point overall is not crazy. It's just I think he's applying it to the wrong play.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. This is not the one to stand on. Right? Like he's picking the wrong mountain to die on or hill to die on when it's this particular play. It was brutal. Again, like definition of defenseless receiver, all of that. I guess
he set up Gronk as a human tackling dummy for 10 years. I mean, he honestly, if Gronk wasn't a giant, he'd be dead right now because of the passes that Tom Brady threw. So I understand what you guys are saying about the defense not having a chance. I do not accept this idea that Tom Brady played quarterback perfectly in that regard.
I think
because that's what he's saying. He's saying, I did it perfectly, and Gardner Minshew is doing it imperfectly.
That's what he's implying.
And it's just not true.
I think we should put the poll question up, right? Does Tom Brady, was he... We'll work out the language here, but is he to blame also? Right? He's not. He's kind of like
Tom Brady being a hypocrite.
Is Tom Brady being a hypocrite by calling out Gardner Minshew when his receivers were definitely getting concussed?
I'm not sure that's really a poll question, but yeah, I hear what you're saying. It's an interesting debate. I still want to see the poll question: can the Niners be the favorite without Christian McCaffrey? That's a poll question.
Oh, do we have that one up?
Well, no, we did the coach of the year.
We did coach of the year as our poll.
We can update.
Anyway, at Maggie and Pearl on the Twitter.
Right. So we did ask earlier in the show who should win coach of the year. We all had different picks. Maggie had D'Amico Ryans, Perloff had Kyle Shanahan, I had Kevin Stefanski, and Ryan had Shane Steichen. So Kyle Shanahan right now sits at 23%. D'Amico Ryans sits at 47%.
Nice.
Kevin Stefanski sits at 22%, and Shane Steichen at 7%.
Honestly, Ryan, the only reason why Shane Steichen is at 7% is because no one knows who he is.
No one knows when the Colts are actually playing.
That is true.
And nobody knows.
Meanwhile, they're a playoff team. Yeah.
Nobody knows what the Colts are going to do for the last 3 games of the year. Talking about a mystery, trying to predict that. Nobody really knows what DeMeco Ryans and the Texans are going to do.
This is going to be fun. I know you guys think the league's mediocre. I love this
and
stuff.
You guys made a point about, in the break, we don't have Dan Campbell on this list. Now, we only had 4 choices that I can put on Twitter. So,
take it up with Musk.
Yeah, take it up with Elon Musk, that bozo.
I think if the Lions win out, I think Dan Campbell wins it because he's very popular. There's no common sense. It's just, who do you like?
Definitely. And I think they redeemed themselves by shellacking the Broncos this weekend. It was looking kind of dicey there for the Lions for a little bit, and maybe this got
Right.
now. Also, it's going to be, they have a big game against the Cowboys in 2 weeks.
Right. And again, it easily could be DeMeco. DeMeco Ryans is like the Matt Nagy or the Kevin Stefanski, the new coach who gets to the playoffs when you didn't expect to. That'll get you the award.
Mm-hmm.
It won't win you a playoff game. But, I mean, first of all, I'd buy into, if I could have anyone's future on that list, DeMeco Ryans, CJ Stroud, sign me up. It's a good day to be a Texans fan.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Okay, lots more to do, including, what you must watch tonight. We'll get to that in just moments. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
As the curtain falls on the season, whispers of change surround Mike Tomlin's tenure with the Steelers. Speculation abounds about the possibility of parting ways, injecting uncertainty into the Steelers' future. A coach whose name became synonymous with Pittsburgh football may face a crossroads. Will the Steel City bid a bittersweet farewell, or will Tomlin endure? In this pivotal moment, the gridiron narrative hangs in the balance, leaving Steelers fans on edge, awaiting the fate of a coach whose legacy is etched in black and gold. The drama unfolds, and the offseason holds the key to the next chapter in Steelers history. As the curtain falls on the season, whispers of change surround Mike Tomlin's tenure with the Steelers. Speculation abounds about the possibility of parting ways, injecting uncertainty into the Steelers' future. A coach whose name became synonymous with Pittsburgh football may face a crossroads. Will the Steel City bid a bittersweet farewell, or will Tomlin endure? In this pivotal moment, the gridiron narrative hangs in the balance, leaving Steelers fans on edge, awaiting the fate of a coach whose legacy is etched in black and gold. The drama unfolds, and the offseason holds the key to the next chapter in Steelers history.
Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Oh, welcome back to the Maggie and Perloff Show. We have really, really exciting news that I cannot tell you about at all, but tune in Thursday.
Bogusch is about to get up and walk
Tune in
out.
Thursday to celebrate Maggie Gray. That's all I will say. We have a very positive show story. No one here except me and Maggie know about it. It's going to be a great little gift headed into the Christmas season.
Meanwhile, speaking of actual gifts, is everyone going to be cool to do Secret Santa, White Elephant, whatever on Friday? Remember, maximum $10. Gifts.
I am now. Haven't remembered it.
Can I say no?
I mean, come on. It's Tuesday. No way anyone was getting this gift earlier than Thursday.
I'm like secretly terrible with gifts in terms of like
That's going to make it even better. $10 max.
What do you mean you're terrible with gifts?
Yeah,
you
you're
get
thinking
the wrong
terrible gifts
gift?
that give bad gifts, which is not necessarily true. It's more of the remembering, oh, right, it's your birthday.
Oh, that's
all right.
You're a dude.
It's Christmas. Oh,
Oh,
right.
it's Christmas?
Yeah, I'm bad with that. I'm like...
Did you wake up January 1st and you're like, I feel like I had something to do?
I have to keep reminding myself of the people I haven't gotten to yet, which is why I try, like, if I don't do it on Black Friday and just order everything and, throw $1,000 out of my bank account, like, if I don't do it then it's going to be some kind of mad dash at the end on Christmas Eve trying to find the last person.
Sure, your girlfriend loves this. This sounds like a great skill.
Well, look, you get them.
She's still your girlfriend,
yeah,
so that's
she's still
okay.
here, 7 years, so I guess I'm doing okay.
Good
I
for you
never
guys.
forget her. I never forget the girlfriend.
Wise man.
But once you get married and have kids, then and you share a bank account, presents become irrelevant. It's like, it's my money you're spending on me, so don't even do it.
My husband and I haven't bought each other Christmas gifts in years.
Yeah.
Birthday, yes.
Yeah, I get like I get earrings once a year.
They look great on you too.
Dang, you beat me to it.
Well, I have clip-ons, yeah.
Clip-ons.
Clip-ons and Lululemon. You know me so well.
Stop. Men can wear Lululemon. It's one of the big growth sectors.
Perloff wearing his wife's jogging pants got the internet really triggered. Relax, people. Okay, Fridays, that's when we're going to do the gift exchange. We'll do it on the air. Okay. We've been talking about Tom Brady's comments, basically pointing the finger at Gardner Minshew for putting his wide receiver, Michael Pittman, in a bad spot where Steelers safety, Devontae Kazee, safety, defensive backs was safety, whatever. He basically put a hit on Pittman that knocked him out of the game, and KZ has been suspended for the rest of the year and any potential playoff games. So Brady points the finger at Minshew. Hey, you've got our quarterbacks, not just Minshew, but our quarterbacks have to be better, not put our wide receivers in these bad spots, to which Perloff said,
Brady caused more concussions by wide receivers than probably any NFL quarterback in history, just because he played for so long.
Also,
and by the way, he completed so many passes as well.
And one quick point as well to Perloff's point, is he doing this to Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen? He's picking on a backup. He's picking on a guy he knows Minshew can't blow him up.
Mahomes throws to the outside a lot, though. He doesn't really work
I'm just
the middle
saying.
of the
I'm saying
field,
that just in theory, just like does anybody know Gardner Minshew throws hospital balls? Like, I didn't know that. Like,
you're 100% right. He would never go after Mahomes.
No, guys, it's Tom Brady. He can go after whoever he wants to. What's Josh Allen going to say to Tom Brady? No, absolutely zero.
Nah,
he's not blowing years, he would not go after Patrick Mahomes.
He's not doing the pinned IG post to blast
to be fair,
Jalen Hurts.
I don't think Mahomes actually puts guys very often in a bad spot. I'm not remembering. Like, Kelsey feels like he's always catching the ball, has time to put two arms around the ball, like he's,
that's what I say.
saving someone from a burning building and then running into two
Mahomes
guys.
doesn't work the middle of the field at all. I mean,
Well, Kelsey.
Kelsey, but generally, though, that's not his spot.
Yeah, we're talking about Mahomes, but just take any great quarterback. Brady's not doing this.
Josh Allen Josh Allen, the one thing he can't do is throw a 5-yard pass over the middle. That's good. If he tried
Josh
to get
Allen's almost gotten Stephon Diggs killed 50 times.
But I also say if he tried to get his throw it into coverage, he'd probably miss him 3 yards behind him, and neither guy would get hit.
Yes, well, that too. But Tom Brady called Josh Allen fat. He's definitely calling him out on this. When they all played golf together, like during at the end of the pandemic.
Lamar Jackson, who's arguably going to be MVP, he doesn't even throw the ball. Like, his receivers never get blown up because they never are even in the play.
Safest guy to play with.
Yeah, exactly.
Eric is in Colorado, wants to weigh in on this conversation. Hi, Eric. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
Fantastic. What's up?
Well, I just think it's more or less the rules' fault for like these players. Like, I'm not saying like the D-backs, they're obviously supposed to be responsible when they're, engaging a defenseless receiver. But if you were to, flag the offensive players just as much as you were flagging the defensive players for lowering their head and, initiating contact, I think it would be totally different. I think this would be near as big of an issue.
Eric, but you know what? The league doesn't want that. Thank you for the phone call. The league doesn't want it, and I agree with Brady that too much gets put on the defensive guys. Like, they can't stop in midair. It's not magic loogies. And, and in turn, it's crazy enough that you can't land with your full body weight on the quarterback now. I feel terrible for guys. Like, how are you supposed to get your 320 pounds out of the way? Like, it's not the Matrix,
Yeah, but I do think pass rushers, and maybe the metrics would prove me wrong. I think they've gotten better at that.
Well,
I've seen that call less.
I think they're just pushing more.
They've adjusted a little bit. And it's probably good. Now, I think it's the bad players that are really getting a lot. Like Kareem Jackson, it was not a sign of strength that he kept on helmet to helmeting guys. I think it was weak. Back in the day, you could have a James Harrison, guys who were just headhunting.
Rodney Harrison.
The safeties could just headhunt. But that now I think it's almost a sign of weakness that you do. Like KZ, that was not a strong play. It hurt his team. I don't think you headhunt. Although I did. Who was the guy that I was glad about? Oh, I'm glad that your Bills were going after Dak Prescott's head the entire game.
I know. EJ was trying to say the Bills were playing dirty.
Oh,
yeah, I thought
my
they brought
God,
Greg
they were.
Williams back.
Yeah, as an Eagles fan, we really appreciate it. Thank you, by the way.
They were. How are you good at? You're hitting a guy as he's sliding to the ground.
How do you do that twice? How do you make that mistake twice?
All I know is
Taking
they
up
made
with Brazil
heavy
Douglas.
contact with Dak Prescott's helmet, and that happened. I don't know what you call it, if it was on purpose or not.
Let's go to our pals. Big Dave is in Kentucky. Dave, how are you, sir?
Merry Christmas, guys, to you and yours. Nothing like, celebrating the holiday spirit by hearing McLovin talk about how happy he was that they were going after someone's head. So well done, McLovin.
Our very own Grinch.
The fact that Dak got out of it okay, I think I can admit. I mean, this is the fan base that booed Michael Irvin on the ground, Dave. I mean, it's a low bar for us.
I'm fully aware. Hey, I just wondered, McLovin, should you and I make our Super Bowl party game plans to watch the game together, since it's obvious that neither one of our teams are going to be in it this year?
Wait, I don't know if you're giving me a hard time. Dave, do you feel like – I feel like Dallas and Philly are in the same boat right now. They are looking at a juggernaut.
Yeah, I think they have no chance. But the thing about it is, obviously it looks like the Niners are the cream of the crop. But we talked about this a little bit mid-season, a little prior to mid-season. Yeah, this seems like the kind of year that, anything – can happen. You have teams that go on for 2 or 3 games. Who was it that? The Niners looked mediocre against. Who was it that?
Cleveland, the Vikings.
Yeah, the Vikings. That was the game in particular I was talking about. Yeah. But I still think they're the cream of the crop. What's up with all these old quarterbacks, man? Why do they have the need like Brady? I know everybody's hanging on his every word, but he's talking about how mediocre the league is. He's hanging these quarterbacks out to dry. You got Cam Newton, dubbing on
system quarterbacks versus
system quarterbacks,
game changers.
Just shut up. And you're right, Maggie. This is not. I think it's an unfair narrative that they're putting these defensive players in. I mean, obviously all the odds have been stacked in the favor of the offensive players, but why can't people just get along?
Dave,
good point.
Merry Christmas. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Best of luck. Cowboys, Dolphins, the big one coming up. See, I kind of like when I hear from these quarterbacks, though, because now we can finally hear what they really think, because Brady's so buttoned up all those 22 years. And, Cam was a little bit more loquacious, but now we get to really see. And I love it when guys will then, like Alex Smith, will then call out Brady, who called out the league. Because then Alex Smith's like, wait a minute, hold on. First of all, you just won a Super Bowl, so should we discount the 7th one because you were still playing in such a mediocre era? And also, don't forget, you had all this, you played in the crappy AFC East. And now we get to really see a little more of what the conversation might actually be like behind the scenes with these guys.
Yeah, but you have to admit, it sounds kind of sad that these retired quarterbacks are continually criticizing the current quarterbacks. It feels like
Does
sour
anyone
grapes.
call Charles Barkley sad? I mean, he calls out the current state of the NBA, and I think he's
LeBron,
become a gajillionaire for
Kevin
it.
Durant.
Well,
pick
Charles
Kobe
is
Bryant, pick your
hysterical.
stars. They've all hated Charles at some point.
Okay, but I think
awesome.
But it's also like what our boss says about, when something you says strikes a nerve, that's how you know that you might be close to the truth.
You know what I want? I think we need a Tom Brady, and we need Andrew Perloff on not to give Perloff, maybe I'm putting him over. I think the problem is we have these quarterbacks and these older players that they say this stuff, and I agree with a lot of stuff they're saying, but there is kind of no pushback with whoever they're talking to. What we really need is to see these quarterbacks, have Tom Brady say, how dare Gardner Minshew throw the ball over the middle like that? And have Andrew Perloff say, didn't Wes Welker have a million concussions?
Yeah,
I
did you
wanna
throw
know
it to
that
Julian
conversation-
Edelman right near Cam Chancellor? And he'll say, well, that was Cam Chancellor. What do you expect me to do?
What's that conversation going to be
but
like?
that's what Alex Smith did. He was like, hey, hold on one second. And so that's why I think that, you just need more people like that who can be the foil, right? Because, yes, Tom will likely, his opinion might go unchecked. Andrew Bogusch is here with headline.
10 plays, 92 yards, the longest drive of the season for the Seahawks, and it ended with this.
Block from the shotgun. JSN is wide to the far side. Drew looks, throws that way, got JSN, he reaches up, makes the catch, touchdown, Seahawks! Holy catfish! What a throw by Drew Lock!
Steve Rabel on Seahawks Radio. Great throw, great catch with 28 seconds left on Monday Night Football. Only lead of the night for Seattle. They steal a 2017 win from those scuffling Eagles. Lock playing hero in his second consecutive start for the injured Geno Smith.
You don't get very many moments. You don't get very many opportunities in this league. And with every opportunity you get, you need to be as ready as you can be because you don't get a ton of them.
The win.
Perloff is
not listening.
He's protesting.
My headphones are out.
It was
that
that big,
sounded
it was
like
the
an
big
extra
touchdown
long,
call.
an extra long touchdown call, Bogusch. I know what you're doing here. I know. I came in this morning and the smile from ear to ear because the Eagles lost.
Holy catfish!
I just missed you. I didn't see you yesterday. That was my only excitement. The win snaps Seattle's 4-game skid, puts them alongside the Vikings, Rams, and Saints at 7-7. Minnesota and LA have wildcard spots this morning. So do the Eagles, who have now dropped 3 in a row. The Cowboys still win their tiebreaker for the NFC East since they lost this week, too. Micah Parsons on the edge with Micah Parsons not enjoying, media members enjoying Dallas's beating in Buffalo.
Everyone just waits for the Cowboys to lose. I saw multiple analysts, people who are fake analysts who somehow got jobs on TV saying, there goes your boy. Oh, there he is. That's the person we've been waiting for. It's almost to the point where it's almost sick. Former players are waiting for other current players to fail so that way they have something to talk about. It's not even to just get into names. I mean, I feel like at this point you kind of know who you are, and it's why do you want a person to lose so bad? It seems that a lot of people are just waiting for people to fail.
Yeah. Hey, how are you doing, Micah?
Wait, does he not understand?
Yeah. Welcome to the sports video.
I'm people.
Well, also it's is he surprised surprised.
Well, he's going to pull a Richard Sherman, and he's going to be the exact opposite once he gets into the media. Everything Richard Sherman said for 10 years as a player went out the window the second he got into the booth.
Oh, yeah.
Now Richard Sherman is the number one media hater in the world, especially on the Seahawks.
Yeah. So I think Micah Parsons.
Sorry, Russell.
It's unfortunate. That's the way the industry works. I mean, you got to have guys on ESPN ripping bad quarterback play.
I just don't. I think it's just kind of interesting that he's like people are waiting for Dak to fail. Pointing out when someone doesn't play well is not waiting for someone to fail.
I understand what he's talking about. The consensus on the Cowboys after every game is so insane.
Okay.
Just because there's so many. Every time the Cowboys do something, it's a referendum on where the Cowboys are. It's over the top.
Okay. Well, I would also say go to who's the most irrelevant franchise in the league right now?
Carolina.
Go to Carolina and lose all but 2 games.
Yeah.
No one's going to be saying Jack Squadouche about you.
So you're saying,
what do you want?
Should be happy about it. Yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, he didn't choose to go to the Dallas Cowboys. He got drafted by the Dallas Cowboys. He's definitely choosing to do a podcast.
He's definitely getting publicity out of being there.
He's doing a podcast, and couldn't you make the argument that he still has not been around long enough to talk as much as he talks? I mean, he's constantly saying something every single week. Why is he qualified to have an opinion, but other people can't?
Did you see the video, behind the scenes draft night video of him? That guy cannot shut up in the best possible way because he's like Charles Barkley. He's got this personality where it just oozes out of him. And actually, usually he's pretty entertaining.
He was supposed to do a weekly at one point, I think, with Skip and Shannon, and then he backed out of it. That was last year. That was probably a smart thing.
I think he's a natural.
Yeah.
We know these guys.
I want to hear what he has to say.
Right.
I'm interested in that. So... But I'm just a little surprised that it's like, wait, you don't know how this thing works?
I think he's sensitive because I think he's right. I think people wait for Dak to fail.
But there is a weird, and I've never lived it, so maybe I don't understand it, but this idea that we can only be nice is just wrong. Like, if you don't play well, you have a bad game, like you just said, Maggie, if you're talking about you struggling, that's just reality. That's not taking shots. And if you're taking shots, it's a whole other conversation.
That's a whole other thing. You go personal. You could do like what Jamal Adams did to reporter's wife, stuff like that. Like that kind of stuff is crazy. That goes both ways, by the way.
But if you no-show in Buffalo on basically national TV, you're allowed to get crushed over the next 18 hours.
And he himself said this was unacceptable, the way we're playing on the road. So you're supposed to be like, well, Micah Parsons said it's unacceptable, but we still love the Cowboys.
Also, tell the rest of your team to try to tackle somebody.
Right.
I think there's a difference between the players view losses and the media views losses. I think the players understand this is a 20-game season where the media does not seem to understand that. I mean, maybe that's just my point of view, but players in a locker room understand this is a marathon, not a sprint.
And I hate the idea that everything has to be about, is he in the Hall of Fame now, or is he in the MVP category? But I've gotten over it because it's just going to happen. It's stupid to get angry on a Monday morning that they're having the same conversations on the TV because they're just going to keep having them. So why is he still bothered by this? Catching him off guard.
Defending his guy, maybe.
But you can do that without criticizing whoever he's talking about in this clip, that they shouldn't be running their mouth.
You know who you are.
I know.
Well, is it the Stephen A? Is it Stephen A. Smith? Is that what we're doing here? Because those are the funniest.
Former players. So
former players.
Not a former player. I don't know who else that could be.
Stephen A. does. He's celebrating the Cowboys' losses that are the funniest thing ever. I give him full credit for that.
LSU QB Heisman winner Jaden Daniels declares for the draft. And for the second time this season, although it feels like it's the 20th, the Falcons are benching Desmond Ridder for Taylor Heineke. NBA last night.
We had to do multiple checks on Google. Like, what happened to Heineke? It's like, he had a hamstring injury. We had to go back through.
I didn't do that check with you.
EJ and I were trying to journalism this thing, and we were checking.
Called Google.
2 Googles though. You were Googling and I was Googling. We had to match it up with the Pro Football Reference. I mean, it took a full 3.5 minutes. He had a hamstring injury.
Do they have a third quarterback in the house? Is there anybody else there?
There's got to be.
Does it matter?
Do you want to see that person?
They got Logan Woodside somewhere
guy.
around. Yeah.
He's an spring football legend.
Oh, yeah, Logan Woodside, AAAF.
Yep. And there's
How many
an extra
A's?
A in there.
Triple AF? Do they tow
do they
your
play
car?
against the AARP All-Star team?
Yeah, it was like a drinking problem and you play spring football.
American Alliance at football.
It just rolls off the tongue.
And women's college hoops last night, second-ranked UCLA pushed its win streak to 10, 77-71 at number 13, Ohio State. Guys, back to you.
Bogusch, thank you. The one coach that we did not think was going to be on the hot seat finding it a little bit toasty right now. Could one legend in the game be on his way out? We'll get to that in a moment. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
We can tell that the jury duty is getting to Perloff. So the grand jury just told us, hey, if you're ever thinking about committing a crime, don't.
Or wear makeup because you're going to be on camera.
No, not makeup like how women wear makeup, like a mask or a disguise.
No, I'm just saying you are in high def camera.
Like get ready for a close up.
Like makeup, like we wear makeup for TV.
Yeah.
Like you might get it because you are going to be on film. It's crazy. The surveillance state, which sounds like a bad word, but it
makes me feel safer.
We're being filmed. Yeah, you walk outside this building, it's on camera.
Good. I want to be on camera. I mean, it's okay with me. Like on the city street when I'm in a public place anyway, I want to be on camera.
And you are wearing makeup.
And I do generally wear makeup. 855-212-4CBS. Back to sports. Tyler is in Arkansas, wants to weigh in. Tom Brady pointing the finger at quarterbacks and specifically Gardner Minshew for putting his wide receiver Michael Pittman in a bad spot. Pittman got knocked out of the game. DeMonte KZ from the Pittsburgh Steelers has been suspended for the rest of the season on that hit. And Tom Brady says, hey, lay off the defensive guys. It's not all their fault. Hey, Tyler, what do you think about it?
Hey, so there's a couple layers to this, I think. And my first point, I think, is that Rob Gronkowski probably shouldn't be part of this conversation on the Tom Brady side because the guy's 6'7", 275. Yeah. He took pride in doing that the way he did. He gave out as much punishment as a Patrick Willis would have in those situations. That's part of who
I
he
understand.
was as a
That's
player.
what Perloff is saying. Brady is hypocritical for calling out other quarterbacks when he put Wes Welker and Julian Edelman and Gronk in bad spots.
Towards the end, when all the receivers left New England, and he had to put Gronk in a lot of bad spots. That's all I thought because he needed Gronk so badly. But go ahead.
So on the Gronkowski thing, I think that was really just a big part of his game. Like that's a lot of the reason that people really love Rob Gronkowski is because of his willingness to do that and then the punishment that he gave out in those situations. He wanted to do that. Now, on the flip side of that, a little bit, like a Julian Edelman and a Wes Welker, the reason that they made it in the league is because of their toughness and because they were willing to go in there and do that. But, like, I think what Tom Brady's saying on the Gardner Minshew, Michael Pittman thing is, like, if you go back and look at that play, the way that Pittman has to lay out to get that ball with the defender right there closing in is very, very, very seldom that in a Tom Brady game you would see a guy have to do that.
Oh, Pittman had to go way up to get the ball. He was like the definition of a defenseless receiver. You're right about that. The ball placement was not good. Pittman had to make a big play.
Terrible. I think like, in those situations, I think it's really lopsided 75-80% of the time. Tom Brady's throwing that ball kind of behind him or at least back a little bit, giving him an opportunity to slow down and brace himself. He's still going to get his head taken off. Like, that's a hit that's been going on for a long time, and the rules have changed to make it, we think about it a lot worse.
But it's Gardner Minshew. He's a backup. What do you expect from him?
Exactly.
I mean, he's desperate.
Yeah, you're totally right on that. But I think he has a point in what he's saying. Like, 15 years ago, everybody would have crucified Gardner Minshew for making that throw.
Tyler, I think it's a great point, and I think this is what Brady is saying, and this is why I agree with him on this one, which is the quarterback, like, it does still have to be part of the strategy of the game where the quarterback has to try to put the ball where the wide receiver can catch it, and he can also protect himself while catching the ball. I think that should be part of the game. That's part of the nuance. That's part of what makes these quarterbacks, some of them, great. Now, unfortunately, maybe there's not a lot of great quarterbacks. And Minshew's a very high-end backup, but there's a lot
He's actually playing really well.
They're in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I mean, they could win a playoff game, potentially. So keep the calls coming on Tom Brady's critique of the quarterbacks leaving their wide receivers in a bad spot. EJ is here to get us up to speed on the one college bowl game we should be watching today. Hey, EJ.
What's up, guys? So we have some late bowl action tonight. The UT San Antonio Roadrunners take on Marshall, the Thundering Herd, in the Scooters Coffee Frisco Bowl. UTSA is seeking its first bowl victory in program history. Now, UTSA is in its first season in the AAC and was a 7-0 record in league play before a loss to Tulane knocked them out of the league's title game. The Roadrunners are only in their 13th season as a football program. So it will be the last dance for San Antonio quarterback Frank Harris. He stepped on campus as a freshman in 2017 and will play his 54th and final college football game tonight.
How old is he?
He's 24 years old. He is 19th on the FBS career list of total yards. He has 14,007 total yards. That's almost 12,000 passing, 2,000 rushing. Meanwhile, Marshall comes in as a team in a bit of disarray. Chad Pennington, Randy Moss not walking through that door. Marshall is bowling for the 7th year in a row despite losing 6 of its last 8 games. The offensive coordinator joined 4 Thundering Herd assistant coaches who were put on the unemployment line. They were fired after the season. They will also be without 9 players who are in the transfer portal, including the starting quarterback Cam Francher and leading receiver Caleb Coombs. So to remix a great Coach Carter quote, I guess that means there'll be 2 new leading scorers in this bowl season. So Marshall does have a new offensive coordinator, Seth Doge. You may remember him. He used to be able to spin it at Texas Tech. He had back-to-back 4,000-yard seasons as a quarterback at Texas Tech in 2011 and 2012. So
I think he was at USC, wasn't he?
I don't know. I know he did this at Texas Tech. So
yeah. I thought he was on the coaching staff at USC.
Fun matchup tonight. Kickoff at 9.
By the way, most iconic Marshall player, not Pennington, not Moss. Byron Leftwich is the ultimate Thundering Herd to me. Sorry,
also,
BJ.
Scooter's Coffee has an iced sugar cookie latte.
Sounds really good.
That caught my interest.
Yeah, you're more into the menus that these different bowl game companies
what about Frank
have.
Harris? He's about to lay it all on the line for the last time. 54th game.
All of that. 54th game playing college football. What are we doing?
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He's been on the TB12 method since he was 6. She's on her 3rd scotch. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Crazy to think of the changes that could be happening amongst NFL head coaches at the end of the season. Hey, welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Here's what I'm talking about. It almost feels like a fait accompli that Bill Belichick is going to be either moving on or, maybe traded, maybe fired. I don't know at the end of the season. Last night, we saw the Seattle Seahawks beat Perloff's Philadelphia Eagles Monday Night Football. Maybe that saves Pete Carroll. Maybe it doesn't. I don't even know if he was really on the hot seat. I know that the Seahawks had lost 4 in a row, and they were reeling until last night. If they miss the playoffs or if they have a first-round exit in the playoffs, do they finally move on from Carroll? And then the last one is Mike Tomlin. Now, it's weird to say this about the Pittsburgh Steelers, like that very little has gone right when technically they still are in the playoff hunt. They're trying to do things and cobble things together now with Mitch Trubisky and now Mason Rudolph, and it's possible that Kenny Pickett could come back at some point. Things just seem in such a disarray in Pittsburgh, and that has led to whispers that Mike Tomlin's seat is heating up.
Whispers from the outside, though. I think to me, this feels like one of those stories that is more media generated than inside the building. They're 7-7 and their quarterback is hurt and they have injuries all over the defense. How can you kill Mike Tomlin in this situation? The other thing, too, is they are such a famously loyal franchise. Why do we think that's different?
Okay, I do think there are things that are different here. And first, though, can we hear from Mike Tomlin, Ryan, about not ruling out a Kenny Pickett return this week?
He had a really good rehab today. His availability is not out of question this week. But at the front part of the week, our attention and emphasis will be on Mason Rudolph, and we'll leave the door ajar and see how Kenny responds to the work that he did today, the limited work that we're probably going to give him tomorrow, and again, establish a position in terms of a pecking order the closer that we get.
I mean, here's the thing. Why they didn't, if they say Pickett's not ready to go and you are going to go to Mason Rudolph, I think there were a lot of fans who were wondering, and I don't think Mason Rudolph's a great quarterback, but why did you wait until the last 2 minutes of the game to put Mason Rudolph in the game? Belichick did this earlier in the year with Bailey Zappi when they were in Germany. It was so silly. And I think Mike Tomlin did the same thing. It's like, all right, you're down 2 scores, the Indianapolis Colts on the road. Good luck out there. We're all counting on you. Like, it was the most ridiculous coaching, quarterback switch. You have to do that much earlier in the game if you're trying to send the message there. And
do you realize you're criticizing Mike Tomlin for not putting Mason Rudolph into the football game? That's what you got?
No, I've got more. So here's the thing. Let's take away any specific moment this in terms of X's and O's and in-game in in-game execution. You're saying that it's only on the outside where people are saying that Mike Tomlin's seat might be heating up.
So far.
I think that the Steelers tell you without being overt. And what I mean by that is earlier this year when Mike Tomlin was, I would say, defiant about not firing offensive coordinator Matt Canada.
Yeah.
Did not want to do it. And I get the reason why. He didn't want to look like, hey, I'm the head coach and I'm blaming the offensive coordinator when we're in this together, right? He didn't want to seem like he was scapegoating Matt Canada. But it was a move that had to be made. And when it was made from ownership. That was the report from the day it happened from everyone in Pittsburgh. It was ownership who had to step in and fire Matt Canada because Mike Tomlin wouldn't do it. Now, that's not overtly saying, hey, Mike Tomlin, we're upset with you. We're on the hot seat. It's certainly noticeable. It's certainly ownership putting something out there the coach clearly didn't want to do. Now, the Steelers will never beat you over the head with anything, right? Because they're too classy of an organization. Their dirty laundry doesn't air out. But that move, I thought, was very telling. And I think that the bad attitude, if you will, of some of the offensive players, the bad body language, the lack of buy-in. Mike Tomlin poo-pooed it earlier in the season, especially when it came to, was it George Pickens, that he didn't care that he scrubbed his social, and now is saying it is a problem, did not nip that in the bud. It's like, it's the coaching stuff, not the X's and O's so much, although you could criticize issues there. I think it's like, is this team following him? Do they have all their ducks in a row? It's led to speculation.
Well, their quarterback got hurt. Minkah Fitzpatrick got hurt in the Colts game. I mean, who is awesome. And they've had injuries all season long, and they're still 7-7. He could have been coach of the year. If Kenny Pickett doesn't get hurt against Arizona, they could have realistically gone to 8-4. Then he's in the coach of the year conversation. It's such a fine line to me that this is ridiculous. The other thing, too, the wide receivers complaining.
Yeah.
This is what happens when, for a 20-year period, you draft character issue wide receivers again and again and again. I mean, do you think there's a reason George Pickens was a second-round pick? There's a reason Deontay Johnson was a later-round pick. These guys, other teams don't want to bring them because for some reason they didn't seem like the coach's best friends. Martavis Bryant, Santonio Holmes, even Plaxico Burress. You go down. Steelers always bring in the character issue receiver. They're great. They're talented, but they burn out the coaching staff, and they never win with that. Antonio Brown, obviously.
Right.
The ultimate
poster
one.
Child, sure.
The poster child. So I can't really hold this against Tomlin. This is a Steeler thing that they do.
Okay, but it used to be, until Antonio Brown really went off the rails, it used to be that he could sort of, get the most out of those players, even if they had question marks around them. Are they getting the best out of Pickens and Deontay Johnson? Absolutely not. And
well,
here's the thing
Deontay
about,
Johnson's had plenty of chances.
Here's the thing about Tomlin could have been coach of the year if they had not lost Kenny Pickett. One of the biggest indictments, I think, on Tomlin was the fact that Kenny Pickett was not developing under Matt Canada. That's like buck stops with me all the way at the top. And I don't know anybody who thought that the Pittsburgh Steelers were winning in a way that was sustainable. They had negative point differential. Yeah. They had negative yardage differential. They were winning these games in spite of themselves. And that's like paper tiger stuff. That's like what we saw from the Vikings last year.
Yeah, but they were 7-4 with two games against 2-10 teams. There's a good reason they beat the Ravens.
Yeah, but they lost to the Patriots and they lost
I'm saying
to the Cardinals.
Before those two losses, there was good reason to think the Steelers had done a lot of good things. They were in great position, and I think that's a credit to Tomlin. I mean, it's not like they're 3-10. Why would you fire Mike Tomlin after this season? Of all seasons, I can point to other seasons when he had Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell and Big Ben and didn't do anything in the playoffs.
Right,
that's bad.
Yeah, losing to Tebow.
To be whatever they're going to be, 8-9 or 7-10 this year with all these injuries, to me, this is not an indictment on Tomlin. This is not Tomlin's fault. It's just not their year.
Okay, so we've talked about this with people like Ross Tucker, who lives in Western Pennsylvania, and others, which is this is the fear from some, not all, but from some Steeler fans, which is you're never going to have that 3-win season for the Steelers. Yeah. Or if you're waiting around for that to fire the coach, then you're never going to make a change because they don't bottom out. That's a credit to them. But also, what's your ceiling? So the floor is never going to be 3 wins, but when's the ceiling going to be Super Bowl? And if you're stuck in the middle and always kind of just good enough, then are you is that really competing? Or are you just, you're there. You're an also ran. And I think what Ben Roethlisberger was very candid on his podcast, and again, here we go, another retired quarterback out here kind of shaking his fist at the team, but he said something, and I think it's true, which is the Steelers used to get off the bus and be up 7 points or be up 3 points. Like, people feared the Steelers. That doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, but I got to tell you, like a few weeks ago, they were sitting pretty. I mean, real pretty, because their defense was killing people. Now this defense, just an injury here, an injury there. I think when Kenny Pickett got hurt, all of a sudden their defense, their shoulders started slumping. They're like, oh, now the offense is going to give us absolutely nothing. Because remember, Matt Canada got fired. They beat the Bengals, and things look great. So I think this is a function of injuries, and they're still not that bad. And by the way, they haven't lost all 3 of these games. If Pickett comes back, they're going to win at one of these games and have some positive momentum.
I mean, you make Pickett out to be more than he is. Now, Trubisky's particularly bad, but Pickett's
so
not
bad.
Good.
He is so much better than Mitchell Trubisky.
Well, if he's bottom of the league in every statistical category.
He is Tom Brady combined with Lamar Jackson compared to Mitchell Trubisky.
Well, that's just an indictment on Trubisky, who they're paying not an insignificant amount to be their
killing
backup.
the Steelers. He was killing the Steelers. I mean, come on. They lost to the Patriots in Pittsburgh.
I know.
And I don't care. I don't care if Tom is doing the worst job of his life. That is on Trubisky, and I think they actually going to win one of these 3 games, or maybe even go 9-8 because Mike Tomlin never has a losing season. He hasn't had a losing season yet. I know we're writing him off, but it hasn't happened yet.
They're 7-7. They've lost 3 straight. John is in Western New York. Has got a thought on Tomlin and what needs to change. Hi, John. How are you?
Good morning, guys. I think I told you guys about 3 weeks ago that the only one that has a weaker arm than Trubisky was Duck Hodges.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you for bringing Duck back into the conversation. We looked him up. He's dating a country star. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I just want to make a comment on Tomlin, and if you go back and look at Tomlin's history, when they went to the Super Bowls, and then in the latter part of the Roethlisberger era where they actually made the playoffs as the Killer Bees, you'll find that Tomlin had assistant coaches that were actually ex-head coaches. So the point I want to make about Tomlin, he's a good coach, but it seems that when it's on the field, game time play, this is where he seems to lack a little bit. Let me put it to you that way. A perfect example, now when Pickett went down, they turned around and trotted Trubisky out right away, and they lined up on 4th down, and they went for it.
And shotgun, by the way, John.
Not only that, they had 3 wide receivers. So what's been the trend in the NFL? You're coming out with the extra lineman on the line, and some of these teams are even putting linemen in as a fullback.
Right.
So what would you do if you brought out a quarterback that hasn't thrown a pass yet on 4th down? You know they're going to run the ball. So, okay, fine. At least if you're going to run the ball, have a formation of strength. They didn't do that. They had 3 wide receivers in there. It's things like that where Tomlin lacks a little bit. Now, as a motivator, as a team, as an actual coach, a team leader, he's really good. But if you've listened to reports out of Pittsburgh, especially, I forget who the defensive coordinator was before, I think Austin is now, but before him, they were saying that actually Tomlin was making the defensive calls. So it sounds like Tomlin has a hard time having trust in his coordinators.
Yeah.
And
it's interesting.
And in doing so,
yeah.
he plays into his own weakness, is all I'm saying.
John, thank you. It's a good call and understand it all around. Here's the thing about the Tomlin assistants, right? Because, assistants move on. I always thought it was always such a feather in your cap as a coach to work for the Steelers. It's like if the Steelers give you the seal of approval, it's like being drafted by the Steelers. Like there was always this thought, hey, if that person is drafted by the Steelers or if they coach for the Steelers, that means they can coach. Made them attractive to get hired other places. That's what I always thought.
I know that about New England. I actually wasn't aware about
New England.
Steelers,
It's actually it's a theory that never comes true.
Yeah, that is interesting. Tomlin's not a great in-game coach. He's okay.
No, he's not.
Yeah, I don't know. I always put the offense. I thought Tomlin kept his hands off the offense to some extent. That's what I'm a little confused about because he's got that rep. He's a defensive-oriented coach, which you do not want. EJ tried to give him to the Jets. If the Jets hire Mike Tomlin, I think there should be a fan revolt because if they don't bring in an offensive coach, I'm going to get so. I understand the reasoning because Nathaniel Hackett. Now everyone wants to give Tomlin to the Chargers. That makes so much more sense.
So, the same thing, right? Though, yeah, like definitely a team where your best weapon is your quarterback.
Yeah, but
same thing with the Jets. If Aaron Rodgers comes back, is going to be the same thing for the Chargers. But you need culture setters. Now, that's I think another reason why Tomlin might be on the hot seat is because where's the good culture right now? Like the Steelers, Ben Roethlisberger said it. Maybe the Steeler way is dead. Guys aren't together. You know, this whole Steeler way it's really taken a beating this year.
They lost their quarterback. Their quarterback got hurt.
Perloff, their quarterback. This is not Patrick Mahomes going down.
What is Kenny Pickett's record as a starter this year?
What was he?
7-4.
Okay, and you're the only one who thinks those wins were in any way indicative of who the Steelers really were.
Honestly, I think
they weren't. They were lucky one-score wins where all of a sudden Pickett, like at the end of the game, would put together the 2 good passes that he needed. This was not sustainable.
Once they fired Canada, things were turning around. They looked good in that. I know they didn't score a ton of points in the 16-10 win over Cincinnati, but they had 400 yards for the first time since Matt Canada had taken over the job.
Right.
I think that they showed. Listen, they obviously have talent on offense. They showed, okay, we're going to put it together. Canada's gone. And then Pickett got hurt, and Trubisky killed them.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. So I'm kind of believing it that Mike Tomlin could be on the hot seat. Listen, 16 years is a long time in one place. I know the Steelers are a unique franchise in that way, but, you know, Art Rooney's not there anymore. Excuse me, Dan Rooney. Dan Rooney's not there anymore. Like, maybe they are not totally immune to everything else that other teams go through in the NFL. And again, 16 years is a long time for a head coach. Perloff thinks I'm crazy for this. 855-212-4227.
Well, not crazy. I understand. First of all, you're in the majority. Everyone thinks he's on the hot seat now, but I think it's nuts. Maybe because I know the Steelers as they are. You're right. Sure. Maybe things have changed, but obviously the Steelers never fire their head coach, let alone when they're a 500 team with an injured quarterback. This doesn't seem like the year to kick Tomlin to the curb, but. Yeah, if they can get a second-round pick for him, I might listen.
Now Perloff's interested. Coming up next, as we are doing every day, at this time, we are counting down the 5 best moments of the Maggie and Perloff show in 2023. So yesterday we brought you our destruction of the Carson Wentz poster. Today, well, we'll all find out together next. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
This portion of the show is brought to you by Wesley Financial. Stuck in a timeshare and want out? Contact Wesley Financial Group now and get a free timeshare exit information kit at wesleyfinancialgroup.com. Oh, boy. The grand jury continues, Maggie. I've been having to leave early to go serve my duty, and you just brought up a good point. I have to do it during the holiday season. So next week, everybody else is off. I am sitting in a grand jury room.
I mean, at first, I thought you were basically making this up just so that you could get out of doing the last segment of the show. And now I see that you're kind of falling into like a deep depression.
Yeah,
and
no.
I feel bad because you're just you're on a grand jury duty, which means it's not just one case. You're hearing multiple cases throughout the day, each one worse than the next.
Yes.
And so you're just getting hit with bad news after bad news, like for weeks on end.
Yeah, and I can't talk about any of that, but I can tell you Jonathan Majors was in our court building. The Marvel actor from, he was found guilty yesterday. So It's been chaotic in this court building, except yesterday nothing happened. Then EJ texted me, oh my gosh, it must be crazy around there. It was only when Jonathan Majors was there, I had to wait in a 30-minute security line because so many people were coming, the actor.
That was an awful story. What do they do with him now? He was like a major part of several Marvel movies.
He got dropped.
Yeah, he's been fired.
No,
by
he's
Marvel.
been fired. But what do you do with the character? So the character dies off, or
we don't know. They
hire someone else?
They can recast him. The way they
Who would want to take that over?
Yeah, I mean, if you've seen Loki, the way they kind of did Loki, you could kind of move away from him if you wanted to, but they're planning a whole Avengers movie centered on this character.
Wait, I have a question about the Avengers.
Right?
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Scarlett Johansson and Robert Downey Jr.'s characters sadly passed. They died.
What?
But there's a rumor. There's a lot of rumors, EJ. I think that they're coming back for the next Avenger movie. Is this possible? Or like, can you ever really die in these movies? Or?
Well, it was interesting because Kevin Feige, the president of Marvel Studios, last week came out and said, the last thing you want to do is undo Tony Stark's death. Now, Is he playing with words, saying, "Oh, we are gonna not undo that death, but we'll have an alternate Tony Stark"? I don't know, but he responded to the reports by saying that we would never undo that.
Okay, this is like one of the things I really despise is when TV shows and movies do someone's in a dreamlike state.
Yeah.
I know this is like the end of the Bob Newhart show or something famously.
Or Lost.
That was before my time. Or Lost, where they're all dead and they didn't realize it anyway. Okay, spoiler. They were all dead.
2.
Sorry, because our Bogusch is just like, what? I think it's such a cop-out to do the dream state, like, and it was all just a dream. So I feel like with the Marvel metaverse and multiverse, pardon me, the multiverse, it's like the new dream state. All you do is just create a whole nother universe, and it's like, no, they weren't dead. They're just here in this other universe.
Which is why
Cop-out.
Which is why people don't believe them. Which is why they say, well, you have a multiverse, so there are other Tony Starks out there. Do you really believe that you're not going to bring back Robert Downey? Now, they said, like, Robert Downey filmed those last scenes for Avengers Endgame, and they told him, hey, you'll never have to do this again. It was supposed to be like a celebratory thing for him.
What else is he doing?
How long is
good for him to stay busy?
Collecting his money.
How long has Hugh Jackman been moving on from Wolverine? About 25 years now. And he says this Deadpool is his last, but get out of here. Hugh Jackman's ridiculous. I mean, that guy's been.
Is he 60? How old is he?
Yeah, he's in his 60s, I believe.
And he still looks amazing, by the way. So here's the thing. I think they think that Scarlett Johansson and Robert Downey get too expensive and they got to write them out so they continue. But then they realize people don't want to see the movie if Scarlett Johansson and Robert Downey aren't in it. It's just crazy. I mean, it's an economy, these movies. Do you like Sopranos where they left it just hanging whether he died? Do you just want to kill characters or what?
No, I want resolutions.
Yes.
Like, am I the odd one out here? Can't we just have a resolution on how things end? Like, can't you just wrap it up for me in a bow?
Well, they tried that, and now everybody's mad.
Yeah, turns out
Avengers Endgame did that, and now everybody's like, "What? Shang-Chi? We don't want to see this. The Eternals?
Yeah, I know.
It's been the argument on the internet for the last 4 years.
The Marvel universe, and I'm not as close to it as EJ, but my kids love it. I watch all the movies. It is amazing how fast they have fallen off a cliff. They're like a wide receiver in his 30s.
Oh, boy.
They hit the wall.
Yowza. Oh, I didn't realize it was that bad.
By the way, Hugh Jackman, 55.
55,
and still, no pun intended, jacked.
Yeah.
So when is that? And he's in the new Deadpool movie.
He's in
as
Deadpool
Wolverine?
3. It's the only Marvel movie coming out this year. But it's the first one using a formerly Fox-owned movie character.
From the X-Men.
Right. So this is why there's excitement for this one.
That went right over Maggie's head.
I was like, are Joe Buck and Troy Aikman going to be there? Wait a minute, they don't work for Fox either.
Honestly, for Deadpool, they might show up.
Like, is Aaron Andrews going to be on the sideline? I don't even.
But you think the real battle is on Planet Zoltar or whatever in these sci-fi? The real battle is in a boardroom over who has rights to these old comic books.
Sure.
Yeah. That is the war. That's the Infinity War.
That's the real. Those are the real superheroes in there. The suits. Everyone always says that. Okay.
I have a Jonathan Majors follow-up, though, if I may. Is anything actually in the middle of making anything with him that they have to erase, or was everything done already?
Yeah, they already did Loki, and then they're a year away probably from filming Kang Dynasty.
Okay.
So that didn't film yet. So I
So
think
they don't
Marvel,
have to undo like 3 months of shooting.
Yeah, no, Marvel I think has a clean break from that standpoint. Though the problem though was that they said he could show up anywhere given the nature of his character. So will he show
How about
up?
A courtroom?
Will he show up in
That'd be a
Deadpool?
jail cell.
Like, maybe
Sorry.
he could show up in Deadpool. Like I don't know.
Wait,
Will he
what
show
about-
up?
He's more likely to show up at Rikers Island.
Well, Jonathan Majors. I'm talking about Kang the Conqueror.
What about an alternate actor taking over the role of Kang the Conqueror? I mean, listen, they just did in the last. They had a bunch of different people be the Fantastic Four. Like, you could do. Everybody could play these roles. So why not just have a new actor? Is that like Bewitched? Where there's a
they
new
should.
Darren?
That's what I think they should just recast.
This is like the Fresh Prince when all of a sudden we just got a new mom.
Well,
exactly.
Right, exactly. Don Cheadle was originally, before Don Cheadle playing Rhodey,
it was Terrence Howard. Just change the actor.
Right. They changed the Hulk. It was first Edward Norton, and now it's Mark Ruffalo. So they've done this before. They decided not to do this with Black Panther, which was a little controversial, but this is an option.
Talking about handling a death, they had no idea when Chadwick Boseman died.
Yeah, so sad.
It was so sad. And do you think they did the right thing, EJ? They just addressed it in the first 30 seconds of the movie. They said he passed and never did any multiverse or anything like that.
I mean, I had no problem with it because I think that those actors deserve the opportunity to honor Chadwick and then honor that version of the T'Challa character. I know that it's, again, a little controversial because a lot of people think that they should have recasted. I think that they're going to recast at some point. I know they say they won't, but
There's too much money in
Right. And T'Challa is too important to never recast him. So I think there's some naivety that's coming with people saying that, oh, they're never going to recast. What the hell they're doing? They're going to recast. It's just going to take some time.
Well, last night during the football game, there's a commercial for a new Percy Jackson movie with a different Percy Jackson out of nowhere.
TV
and they just
show.
did that 5 years ago. Oh, it's a TV show?
Yeah.
That looks pretty sick,
It's
by the way.
it's got what's his name too? Adam Copeland now, formerly known as Edge.
Oh, no
Nice.
way.
The rated R superstar?
Yes. The rated R.
Yeah. And you laugh at that like it's not a big deal. They probably put $75 billion into that Amazon Prime. That is going to mint money for them. Yeah.
All right. Well, maybe we can recast
can you,
the last 10 minutes of my
can
life
you
so I
have
can
a
get it back.
nerdier sports update?
I can try.
Wait, hold on. Before we get to Bogusch, we got something very important we've got
Yes,
to do
we
now.
do.
While you guys go on and on about whatever. We're counting down the top 5 moments of the Maggie and Perloff show in 2023. Now, the wild thing about this is it's kind of a new audience. So you guys a lot of you are living these things for the first time. So if you're just joining us, here's number 4. I said I would eat it with my hands. Or do you have an official time?
4:04, begin now.
Okay.
The first bite is down with
My
your
hands.
hands,
You're welcome.
which I don't totally understand. Oh, now I'm getting disgusted.
This is going to be awful.
Oh, every bite you
I
look
should've
sort
set
of
this
like mildly sick. Like every bite you're getting like 3% sicker on each bite,
Yeah.
which is pretty good. We're making a bit of this. This is no longer a bit. This is flat out
No, this is so good.
nasty.
I hate everyone. Myself the most. This is it. We agree that this is the last bite. This jar is empty. I'm not going to have someone call me on a technicality in like a day.
Does anyone have the second jar ready to go, just in case? We have 2 minutes to spare.
We'll run out. You'll never see me again.
I'm turning away. Because I don't want to be, because I don't think this is going to last long. in her system.
YouTube.com/CBS Sports Radio. Please hit subscribe. Please.
She took the bite. She has to swallow it. She has to swallow it. Will it get past? Oh, boy. It's not looking good. Maggie's hands are around her face. She's looking, oh, God. Her eyes are closed. She has done it, people. She has eaten the entire jar of jelly. She has eaten the entire jar of jelly.
I want to die. I should have set that up better. That was the time. People are probably wildly confused when I ate an entire jar of jelly.
I like it better that people didn't know what you were eating. I'd be curious what they thought was going on there.
Why did I take the first bite with my hands? No one would
actually,
understand that.
I don't remember that either. Why did you do that?
That was another thing. I had to eat a whole jar of jelly. We did it for YouTube subscribers, and now we're actually asking you to subscribe. YouTube.com/CBS Sports Radio, Twitch.tv/CBS Sports Radio for charity. For every new subscriber we get between now and the end of the year, we are donating $1 for every subscriber to the Boys and Girls Club.
Yeah, awesome cause. Hey, I have a question. Did we pipe in that Karate Kid music now, or was that actually
That was on there in the original cut.
That adds such an amazing layer. I mean, you're an All Valley State champion. It's amazing. what a warrior!
Ironically, I felt like I was on the other side of the crane kick after.
Just the idea of you're the best around after eating a jar of jelly is just amazing.
Editing that together was probably maybe the most fun I've had on the show.
Yeah.
Honestly, there's a 3-minute cut out there. You want to talk about Marvel movie? There's an extended cut of the Maggie Perloff probably on my hard drive because that could have been 4 minutes long.
And I still remain very confused that the peanut butter was easier to eat than the jelly. I would have bet a lot of money that the jelly was the easier thing and the more exciting thing to do.
So we haven't revealed that has not made it in.
Yeah.
The Perloff eating the jar of
The
peanut butter.
question is, who had a longer night? Peanut butter or the jelly? That's a different question altogether. One that you really do. There's no soundtrack that's going to make that sound any better.
This is what diabetes sounds like.
I got to be honest. People say we joke around like, oh, I'm on a sugar high. Eat a jar of jelly.
Wait, did you throw up? I can't remember.
I did not throw up, but I basically was halfway down home when I realized I was passing everyone on the highway and I was not in a car. I was sped up because of how much sugar. I put out like 200 grams of sugar in half an hour. It was not cool. There's a reason why nobody does this.
One of the things from the clip I saw too was that you chose organic, like food, like jelly
spread.
paste or whatever,
Yeah.
fruit spread.
I tried.
Yeah, which apparently made things worse because you didn't do like the Smucker's jelly,
No.
which would have went down a lot easier.
That Perloff was chastising me the whole time. I'm like, I thought you were supposed to be like, helping me through this positivity. He's like, you picked the wrong jelly as I'm struggling.
It was the thickest, grossest jelly. Honestly, one bite of that would have made me sick.
It was pretty bad.
We could tell.
Yeah, it was gross. It was gross. I mean, you got to go Smucker's grape. I could house 2 jars of that. That stuff just flies down.
That makes me feel better about my prediction because we discussed it in the morning while you were prepping for it.
Oh, nice.
And I thought that was actually going to be almost enjoyable. I love jelly. And I'm thinking a little squeeze ball, you just tip your head back and away you go, and then you almost died. So it was not what I expected.
Why I decided to go strawberry, I'm like, at least in a strawberry jelly, there's like actual bits of strawberry. I can maybe trick my brain into thinking I might be eating something like a piece of fruit.
Wait, I understand you love jelly, but think about it. Jelly is something that has to be with something else to be good. Jelly alone is not good. It has to be on bread or with peanut butter. Otherwise, I love jelly too. When it's with something else alone, it sounds nasty.
It was awful.
But it just seems less cumbersome than like peanut butter. Or because it's
it goes down smoother.
Yeah, it goes down smooth. It kind of disintegrates once it's in your mouth.
Wait till we get to peanut butter at some point. I don't know where it's going to land on this list of top 5 greatest moments of Maggie and Perloff in 2023. But when we do get there, know that Perloff opted for smooth over crunchy because he thought it would rip up his esophagus.
Yeah, my trachea.
The peanuts. And that's just the beginning of
how soft I was?
Of what that was like. Anyway, Bogusch has headlines. Hello.
Jalen Hurts was sick when Monday Night Football began. When it was over, he was sick and disappointed in himself and his teammates.
I've been talking about execution all year. Been on the same page. Everyone been on the same page, and we didn't execute. I don't think we're all committed enough. Just got to turn it around.
It's like those are his last words.
I know.
I actually I'm serious for BJ. Mom, my tummy hurts. I can't go to school tomorrow. I mean, today. That was such a getting out of school voice.
I don't want to play the Seahawks.
I don't want to go to Seattle. They're loud.
Meanwhile, the opening drive, he couldn't have looked better.
Right.
Yeah. He actually didn't look terrible all night.
Listen, they almost won the game except for the two terrible throws.
They should have won the game. And not only that, there were a couple drives that they were up. All you'd have to do is stop Drew Lock for one drive, keep him out of the end zone, and they got in the end zone and whatever. You probably have the highlight.
I do stand by. It's now a 3-game skid for the Birds. They did not trail in Seattle until Drew Lock hooked up with Jackson Smith and Jigba with 28 seconds left in regulation for a 2017 Seahawk victory. Hurts picked off twice in the fourth, both times by Julian Love. The second one came with 6 seconds left, ending Philly's last chance.
A.J. Brown's a real deal receiver, and I was honestly watching him that entire play. I was in the post. I saw the double move. I just took off and saw the ball floating, and I must be living right because got my feet in, thankfully.
Love and the Seahawks finally win again, snapping a 4-game skid. They are now one of 4 7-7 teams in the NFC. The Vikings and Rams have wild cards this morning. The Seahawks and Saints do not. The Falcons are benching Desmond Ridder again in favor of Taylor Heineke. Bengals wideout Jamar Chase now expected to miss at least Saturday's game with the Steelers from last weekend's shoulder injury. And as we discussed this morning, Steelers safety Devontae Kazee suspended for the rest of the season and any playoff games for his latest illegal hit. This one was on Colts receiver Michael Pittman Jr. last weekend. What a Monday night for the Knicks. Deep into a West Coast road trip, they found themselves at the newly crowned IST champs. On the night, they raised their banner, and those Knickerbockers left L.A. with a W.
James puts up a 3. Missed it. Hartenstein battling and quickly comes away with it. Ahead is Randall, all alone down the other end. He throws it down, and the Knicks go up by 7. Timeout, Lakers with 34.1 remaining.
Mike Breen on MSG TV. Julius Randle, 24 points and 17 boards in a 114-109 victory over the Lakers. But the Knicks celebration dampened by a rare misstep from their owner. James Dolan, so accomplished, so successful, so respectable, so talented musically, making the rare wrong choice. According to the New York Post, the lovely and talented Emily Ratajkowski denied her latest request for celebrity comp tickets to the Garden because she left a Knicks game early and wasn't there to see them erase a 21-point hole and beat the Heat a few weeks ago.
You are kidding. I saw that she got banned. That's why she got banned?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
No, and not banned.
Perloff's been leaving early for years.
She can go, but she has to pay her way from now on.
Now,
No
I think
more.
part of the story, though, also was that she appeared to be rooting for the Heat.
Wow.
I'm trying to figure out where she's from. Now, obviously, everyone, well, I think most red-blooded American men are familiar with her work.
This can't be a popular move among Knicks fans. If you're going to kick out...
Honestly, get her out of here.
Wait, because she left early?
Yeah, get her out. This is the
EJ,
one.
I think
this
that is
the
an
only, this is the
unpopular
only
take.
banning. Trust me, the only banning that I support from James Dolan.
Because she left early. She's sitting there with Arena Shake, by the way.
Right.
Who's
I
like
mean, come on.
Ronaldo's ex and Bradley Cooper's ex.
And maybe Tom Brady's current, right?
Oh, right.
I was sitting next to Keegan-Michael Key and Timothy Chalamet. I would have kicked them to the curb in 2 seconds to get Emily Ratajkowski and the Arena Shake next to me. I'm sorry, not to be shallow, but please, EJ, what are you talking about?
Look, the Knicks are a serious team now. They're not just they are. You're laughing. They're a serious team. They made the second round of playoffs last year. We can't have fans showing up and they're not involved in the game. Like, give that to Tracy Morgan, give that to Fat Joe, give that to another celebrity.
They get them too.
No, I'm saying give it to another celebrity. I'm sure we can bring back Jessica Alba. She went to the Knicks game. She was fantastic, looked amazing. We don't need, and she stayed for all 4 quarters. And I was at that game, but the Knicks were down. Okay, we don't need Emily
Here's the thing.
bouncing in the third quarter when the Knicks are in their way to making the biggest comeback of the season.
Well, she didn't know they were going to make a comeback, but also she asked for tickets to a Ranger game and they wouldn't let her in. It's like they're holding the grudge over to hockey.
She's a big fan. By the way, why did the Eagles get all the hunky guys? Bradley Cooper, Ryan Felipe. Who cares about that? Get some supermodels in Philly. You guys, I don't know what you're doing here, EJ. You have a perfect thing going.
No, the Knicks are the only team that could deny someone like Emrata.
Honestly,
they're the only team because they're gonna have 5 other supermodels showing up tomorrow.
Okay,
but they're also the only team that's tracking these things.
Yes.
To know that she left, to be angry about, to send emails around and go, don't let her into Ranger games either.
But the Knicks, aren't you trying to build the best home court advantage you possibly can?
I think Emily Ratajkowski, distracting your opponent and maybe the home team, maybe it's better.
Right,
maybe
exactly.
she's distracting the Knicks. Maybe she's the best weapon you have.
Yeah, did you see how Jalen Brunson played in that fourth quarter? That boy was balling.
So I don't know if that's a pro or a con against her.
No, he just wants to get a pro Jalen Brunson comment.
Yeah,
we saw what you're doing there, EJ.
Wait, the Emily Ratajkowski thing. Okay, so you are going to ban Emily Ratajkowski, Charles Oakley, and possibly me.
No, possibly.
Yeah, I don't know about that possibly there. I'm sorry.
All for much different reasons here. I mean, if those are the people that I can be associated with now, I think my work here is done.
To me, the obvious power rankings is Maggie, M, and then Charles Oakley.
Yeah.
That's
I love
very
kind of you.
We don't need you to.
That's not
go
even
back.
my power rankings. I'm probably putting Ratajkowski over.
But in
over
comparison, you're like Tony Soprano here. You can't go at all.
Right.
She's like a soldier. She can go. She just needs to pay. You're not allowed in, period. Like you're like on death row. She's just in a holding cell for a couple of days. She's got nothing on you.
I've never thought of it that way. I don't feel like I'm on death row. It's not that.
No,
doesn't feel that cute.
Death only
you're
comes
in for life.
around April when you have to watch Knicks play in the playoffs and lose. Trust me.
So far, I'm okay. So she's banned. Well, I would probably. I mean, how does she get back at them?
You go to the Brooklyn Nets games, and that's good. That's going to be a terrible way to get back at them because the Nets are garbage.
Are there celebrities at the Nets games?
They pay them to show up.
Well, I mean, Jay-Z and Beyonce sat there for years.
Yeah, I mean, but do they have like a celebrity row like the Knicks?
Yeah,
they try to. Yeah.
Generally, the person who I've seen the most at Nets games for celebrities is actually Michael Strahan.
Strahan, fabulous, shows up because he's a Brooklyn guy.
Sudeikis is there a lot.
Yeah,
Amy
Jason
Schumer.
Sudeikis. There was a weird thing where Michael Rappaport disowned the Knicks and started showing up at Nets games, and now he regrets it. He tries to come back to the Knicks fandom, and he just gets bombarded by Knicks trolls, which I love. It's one of my favorite things on the internet. So he was one of their celebrities.
Man, I think the Garden's making a mistake here.
Me too.
You need Ratajkowski on that wall. You want her on that wall.
All 18, 20, however many people, all 20,000 need to be on board. We cannot have even 2.
You know what she should do?
No matter how beautiful they are, them is beautiful.
She should show up to a JD and the Straight Shot gig. This is James Dolan's band, and just boo him. Just like while he's playing his kazoo solo.
I mean, it better be at a place that James Dolan owns, because she would be thrown out of there more aggressively than Charles Oakley was.
I know. It's that Globe in Vegas that's bothering me the most out of all the places I'm currently banned.
The thing about the Eagles fans, if you wear a Cowboys jersey into an Eagles stadium, you're in big trouble. Emily Ratajkowski can basically have a star emblazoned on her forehead. She's fine.
No, you said you want more supermodels to go to Eagles games.
Yeah.
Like, what are people like, hey, you want to go to the Wawa? What are you offering for supermodels? Philadelphia.
Right.
Wait, what do you mean?
Like,
New York has so much to offer.
Bradley Cooper.
Half these models have dated Bradley Cooper already. I don't think that's news
I was
for
gonna say,
them.
she can't do that. Her friend is Arena Shayk. It's Bradley Cooper's ex. That never happens in Hollywood.
Tina Fey's an Eagles fan. That's pretty cool.
You get to hang out with Tina Fey.
I'd dig that.
Tina Fey's lived in New York for the last 25 years. She's more likely to be at a Knicks game.
That is true.
You
got Meek Mill.
Yeah, I mean, listen. Sorry,
He
Bills
put you in a
fan.
music video, maybe.
Who and the celebrity Bills fans?
Believe me. Benny the Butcher.
Benny the Butcher.
Benny the
Let's
Butcher,
put
who's
respect on his
awesome.
name. He's awesome.
And if you want beautiful women, I can give you Summer Sanders. Beautiful and Olympian. Hey. Summer's gorgeous.
Summer is gorgeous. I don't know what.
Yeah, I don't know what that was.
About.
That's just an old. I was laughing at the
No,
old.
no, just like that's
school
like
of it.
Yeah, I mean,
Just classic beauty.
yeah, I know, but she's not exactly in the news
Current.
these days, is
Yeah.
she?
Look, Summer Standards for millennials, that was a lot of people's first crush,
I
okay?
know.
She was on
NBA
Figure It
Inside
Out,
Stuff.
Nickelodeon.
Does she go to Bills games?
She's a huge Bills fan. Yeah, she does. Well, she lives in Utah now, so it's a little hard.
I'm sorry, I've watched a lot of Bills games this
Never
year. I've
seen
not
her.
seen Summer Sanders on the sideline. They never flash a Summer Sanders. Like,
Well, I mean, maybe you're not watching the pregame.
it's not. Oh, she's not at Bills games. Get out of here.
I'd rather see noted outlaw Maggie Gray at Bills games.
People
It's
are
not
gonna,
like
I just
People are gonna wonder-
love that idea of like you're on CBS and like, Boomer Esiason is like, oh, there's Summer Sanders there on the Bills sidelines.
of course you would. I'm sure they're friends. Everyone's in the CBS family. Just quickly, so people understand, very fast. I'm banned from the Garden because I criticized the owner. I didn't like get drunk and take my shirt off or something.
or leave at halftime.
I clearly would leave before the Knicks mount a 21-point comeback. How dare I? All right. Thank you. Perloff's got to go to jury duty.
Later, guys.
Meanwhile, we got a lot to do here, including the one question that we are going to answer for all NFL fans. It happens next. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff off to jury duty. Andrew Bogusch is sitting in. We feel like Summer Sanders maybe got a little drive-by by Perloff there in the last segment.
And then he left.
I want to let you know that in no way reflects the views of anyone else here on the Maggie and Perloff show. We love Summer. We think she is beautiful and awesome. And she made us go down a rabbit hole of Saturday morning cartoons that we loved watching when we were kids. Welcome back to the show. So before we quickly get to the shot of the day, I'm really curious today to hear what Aaron Rodgers has to say about the facial expressions that he was making on the sideline during that Jets 30-point loss to the Miami Dolphins. That was the first time I thought Robert Saleh really is on the hot seat, because Rodgers was like openly shaking his head. He's rolling his eyes. He has a headset on, so he's hearing the play calls come in, and it felt almost defiant. Bogusch. Not defiant. That's too strong. It felt passive aggressive. It felt like he was doing something. He was openly reacting. He knows there's a camera on him.
Yeah, I think it's just him living in the reality that is the reality. And I think that's created in his head. Like, there's no reason to come back now. He and Nathaniel Hackett, whatever connection they have is benefits the most from Aaron Rodgers being Aaron Rodgers. And when mortals are playing in that system, you can see how bad it actually is. And the whole operation is in the you-know-what because of Robert Saleh and everything like that. And the GM, it was a lot of a dose of reality right in the face of Aaron Rodgers. But for sure, he knew people were going to see him doing what he was doing.
Yeah, and also now they have, what is it, today where they have to put him on?
Tomorrow
to put him on the roster? I mean, that makes no sense. They're mathematically eliminated. They're out of the playoffs. Doesn't make sense. Let's get to our shot of the day.
He shoots! He scores!
This shot of the day is brought to you by Casamigos Tequila. Casamigos is brought to you by those who drink it. Casamigos, perfect for the holiday season. Today we found out that Perloff sometimes cheats to beat his kids at card games.
It reminded me of when I'm playing card games with my kids and cheating and just like blatantly, obviously cheating. It was and the fact that Jason Kelsey's been cheating. If it was any other player, I would have a problem with this, but I just love it.
Yeah, the rest of us are kind of over it.
It's called gamesmanship, Maggie.
Wait, hold on. You openly cheat to beat your kids?
It depends if I'm in the mood. Like just because they're so gullible. But when they were little kids, you could do whatever you want. But I
Father of the Year over there.
Wait, hold on. I thought most parents let their kids win.
The older kid I like to beat. The younger kid will cry. She'll go into a deep, dark depression if she loses a game of Connect Four. So I almost have to use like skills to let her win. When she was 3, one loss in Connect Four was like, oh my gosh, Emma's gone for the day.
Perloff cheats.
What a guy.
To beat his kids in card games.
Or to save one of them. He kind of breaks even. One, he wants to beat. The other, he's trying to save from a bad day. So in the end, he's at 0.
Yeah, and that's about perfect.
Yeah, he's neither good nor bad.
Oh, man. Well, that is that. Do people not let their kids win anymore? Is that an old thing? When we heard that back, I'm like, maybe that's not right.
I don't know. Again, I know my dad used to crush me in Madden. Crush me.
Yeah.
So when I finally started crushing him, it felt awesome.
There's a line. At some point, it's time so they have to learn how to lose.
How to lose,
yeah.
Sure.
And you don't like browbeat them, but they need to lose every once in a while.
It's like you can't figure out Connect 4, you loser. Thank you, DJ Stewart. Thank you to Ryan Botcher. Thank you to Andrew Bogusch, of course, Andrew Kaplan, the Weedos and the coffee drinkers, callers. We appreciate you guys so much. We'll be back tomorrow with another of the great moments from Maggie and Perloff throughout the year.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining.